Hey friends, hope you're all doing well. We're doing okay too, just really tired since we've been working non-stop. We wanted to answer a question many of you ask: how does our publishing process work? Most of our audiobooks are first posted on Patreon as paid content. They stay behind a paywall for a few months. After that, they become free to access on Patreon forever. Then, a few weeks later, we upload them to other platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, X. Lately, our community hasn't been growing much, and we could really use your help. Please share our site in your Facebook groups, Discord servers, Reddit threads, Twitter, X, or with any friends who might be interested. Every little bit helps and we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for being with us and supporting what we do. The three parted ways at the fork in the road from the ninja school. Orochimaru waved goodbye and left. Little Jiraiya also said farewell to Tsunade and headed to the back mountain to find the bear. Tsunade sighed and continued on her way, lacking any real interest in shopping. Upon returning to her home on East 2nd Street, Tsunade called out, "I'm back." There was no response. Tsunade muttered to herself, I hope she didn't go to the mahjong parlor again. The mahjong parlor was the only money-related activity permitted in Hidden Leaf Village, aside from the gambling house on Hidden Leaf Village South Street. The mahjong parlor charged by the hour, typically 100 ryo per hour. Players chose their bet sizes, usually small amounts, with 1,000 ryo for a half-banker considered a high bet. Tsunade's mother enjoyed this activity, playing whenever she had free time. Of course, Tsunade would join occasionally. Though she lost more often than she won, she found it exciting. Due to a certain incident, even using transformation jutsu, the gambling house would recognize her and send her away. Tsunade was displeased with this, often complaining that once she grew up, she would frequent the gambling house for fun. After searching the house for leftovers and finding none, Tsunade yawned and felt sleepy. When she awoke, it was already dusk. Tsunade noticed that she was covered with a quilt. Had her mother returned? Tsunade rubbed her eyes and looked around. The room was dim, but she remembered where the switch was. She felt for the switch on the wall and turned on the light. Tsunade found the electric light fascinating, though she didn't grasp what it meant for all the houses in the village to have electric lights. For her, despite everyone praising Yuaya, she felt dissatisfied. What was so great didn't benefit her at all. Tsunade turned on the light and surveyed the room, spotting a coat on the ground. It was her mother's. Her mother had returned. Tsunade eagerly prepared to find her mother, hoping for some affection and a delicious meal. As she walked through the corridor, she noticed light coming from a door crack. She approached happily, ready to knock, but heard her mother sighing inside. I understand everything you're saying, but our clan doesn't have a suitable candidate right now. Then let it be Yuaya. He's Lord Hashirama's disciple. Tsunade blinked. Was that her father's voice? Well, what can we do? After all, there's no suitable person in our clan. What's more, the Senju clan has become commoners and changed their surnames now. The female voice sighed. What about Tsunade? The female voice sounded surprised. Tsunade? What are you talking about? She's only 9 years old. Master Yuaya is only about 15 this year. He's only 5 years older. I don't mind. If Tsunade really marries Yuaya-sama, then we won't let the princess of the Senju clan marry outside, but does Tsunade agree? We'll take it one step at a time. We can't let Lord Hashirama's disciple marry someone from another family. Outside the door, little Tsunade had already run back to her room with a blushing face. What did she just hear? Chapter 81 Uchiha, I am serious about helping you find a wife agent. These are invitations from other families. Nara Shikaya handed a stack of invitations to Yuaya. Yuaya looked at Shikaya, his lips twitching. Do you think I'm blind? I can clearly see the two words Nara at the top. Lu also gave an awkward smile, then hugged Yuaya and whispered, Isn't this an order from the old man in the family? Let me try it. Yuaya sneered. So you sold me out? Lu Yi clicked his tongue in dissatisfaction. How can you say that? I'm just looking out for your lifelong happiness. Ninjas get married young, you know. Even brother Kagami was engaged at 16. Kagami Uchiha, who had been hiding in the shadows, couldn't take it anymore and stepped forward. Hold on. My family arranged my engagement at 16, but I didn't get married until I was 19. Nara Shikaya spread his hands. Yuaya helplessly held his forehead. With Kagami Uchiha joining in, the conversation took an even stranger turn. Kagami coughed awkwardly before adding, Well, my family also wanted me to ask you, how do you feel about Zero? Yuaya's mouth twitched. Are you guys brain dead? Do you seriously think I'm still a kid? He paused, suddenly recalling something. Wait. When did the prince get married? He calculated in his head, He graduated from the academy as a genin at 12, spent 3 years chasing Sasuke, then dealt with Akatsuki and the Fourth Great Ninja War. That meant the prince, Naruto, must have married Hinata at 17 or 18, no older than 19. Ah, this timeline. Yui sighed in exasperation and looked at the two with deadpan eyes. Who came up with this ridiculous idea? Narashikaya whistled innocently. Kagami Uchiha laughed nervously, but Yui turned his sharp gaze toward him. Finally, Kagami gave in. It was the old clan leader of the Hyuga family. Yui felt an immediate toothache. Are you kidding me, Hyuga? What kind of nonsense is this? The truth was, this wasn't just the Hyuga clan's idea. Ever since Yui forced the Sarutobi clan to hand over half of their land, many families had started brainstorming ways to avoid the same fate. Ultimately, they landed on one solution: marriage alliances. It was reminiscent of how the Uzumaki clan secured their influence through the first Hokage. Although the Uzumaki clan faced challenges now, their strategy of controlling a nation through alliances was undeniable. Even if Yui's ultimate potential was uncertain, the past few years had made one thing clear: the rapid advancements in Hidden Leaf Village were thanks to him, not Tobirama. The other clans recognized this, though they couldn't openly admit it. The marriage proposal was initially met with resistance. Ninja clans rarely married outside their own. The Uchiha, Sarutobi, Shimura, and Hyuga clans all preferred internal unions. Even Naruto and Hinata's marriage had been an exception due to Naruto's status as a rising star destined to become Hokage. However, the Hyuga patriarch saw an opportunity. Unlike other families, he had no qualms about breaking tradition. He shamelessly proposed his granddaughter, Hinata Kazuko, who had known Yui for years. His reasoning was simple: if no one else moves first, we'll secure the alliance. The other families begrudgingly agreed. After all, they didn't want to fall behind in this unspoken competition. Only the Sarutobi clan remained silent, their gates closed, their intentions unclear. Yui stared blankly at the ceiling. You mean to tell me the Hyuga patriarch said all that out loud? Kagami shrugged. Pretty much. Yui massaged his temples. Unbelievable. These people are hopeless. He thought back to the Uchiha clan's recent blunders. The last time he had personally visited their clan to propose a profitable collaboration, they had turned him down. And now they had the nerve to send Kagami to recommend Uchiha for a marriage alliance? Idiots. Absolute idiots. It suddenly dawned on him: do they really think these marriage proposals are genuine? That these girls are here to introduce themselves seriously? Yui was silent for a long moment. Knowing the straightforward nature of most Uchiha, it was entirely possible they did. Chapter 82 Gift. In short, these family farces highlight an important issue. Yui now has a team formidable enough to be taken seriously. While cutting off the Sarutobi clan's water, electricity, and food may seem like a clumsy method, it was undeniably effective. Similar to how these families operate, after reviewing their internal situations, they realize it's impossible to sever ties with Yui completely. Take electricity, for instance. Even though it's primarily used for lighting, it has revolutionized life. People can now read at night or enjoy shopping and entertainment after sunset. Losing access to electricity would mean returning to an old lifestyle of sleeping at sunset or relying on expensive candles that provide little light. Those accustomed to electric lights cannot revert to the past. Moreover, Yui's business blueprint extends across various industries. Even small-time grain merchants in Hidden Leaf Village depend on it. In the past, Hidden Leaf Village's officials controlled grain sales, but now, Yui has constructed granaries to stabilize prices. During good harvests, surplus grain is stored, and during shortages, it's sold to keep prices stable. Remarkably, food prices in Hidden Leaf Village have remained unchanged for 17 years, a feat no one else could achieve. This has frustrated family grain merchants who used to hoard grain during surplus periods and sell it at exorbitant prices during shortages. Yui's approach rendered such practices obsolete. Although these merchants dislike him, they are fortunate that Yui spends most of his time building factories rather than dominating every market in Hidden Leaf Village. Yet, the dilemma remains: most ninja families with businesses in Hidden Leaf Village rely on factories for goods. Without access to raw materials, largely controlled by Yui, they can't function. Facing these realities, the families realize that direct confrontation with Yui would be futile and that cooperation is the only viable option. The old Hyuga clan leader's strategy, while underhanded, has proven effective. Yui can't retaliate just because someone proposed introducing him to potential marriage partners. It's seen as a goodwill gesture. In most people's eyes, it's a positive thing, not a hostile act. However, Yui despises being used. He seeks genuine relationships, not alliances born out of family obligations. He resolves to ignore the issue, knowing Narashikai and Kagami Uchiha won't press him further. The farce temporarily subsides when year-end battle reports arrive. The prolonged winter conflict has concluded, with Shimura Denzo's surprise attack securing victory. Though Uaya is glad Senjudobi Rama is safe, he remains indifferent to the other casualties. But this victory emboldens the Shimura clan. At the year-end summary, a Shimura ninja delivers an arrogant message: "Greetings, Acting Secretary Uaya. The Shimura Patriarch is busy hosting a celebration for Princess Shimura's 3rd birthday and cannot attend the review. Please understand." The ninja's lack of decorum angers Narashikai, who turns to Uaya. "Agent, aren't you furious?" Uaya responds calmly, "Why should I be? You're from the Nara clan." Shikai sighs, admitting, "Technically, I'm no longer part of the clan. I live on West 3rd Street now." Uaya smirks knowingly, commenting on the Nara clan's opportunism. "They've distanced themselves from you, hoping to align with rising powers like the Shimura clan. But if the Shimura clan fails, they'll gladly reinstate you as head of the Nara family." Clever, but misdirected. Shikai, visibly frustrated, vows, "I'll do everything in my power to assist you from now on." Uaya smiles, skeptical but amused. "Great. Start by drafting a greeting note to the Shimura family." Shikai, baffled, exclaims, "Are you admitting defeat?" Uaya chuckles, "Not at all. I genuinely wish their little princess a happy birthday. Oh, and mention that I'll be sending her a pair of shoes. Golden shoes." Shikai's confusion turns to alarm. "Shoes? Golden shoes?" Uaya's grin widens. "Yes, golden shoes. And in my size." Chapter 83. Do you want to delay graduation? It's so boring in a large lecture hall, listening to the instructors chatter on the podium. Claire let out a yawn, almost falling asleep. It was not nearly as fun as playing hide-and-seek with Charmander and Trapinch. "You didn't sleep last night, did you? Why do you look so listless today?" Charlotte, who was sitting next to Claire, curiously poked Claire's face with a pen, surprised to find that Claire didn't respond, and spoke softly. "Never mind, Charmander's fire nearly burned my bed last night." Claire rolled her eyes and complained in resignation. Yes, because she didn't pay attention, the quilt accidentally covered Charmander's tail. Fortunately, she found it in time. "As expected of you, Claire." Charlotte was stunned upon hearing it. "Charlie, let's have a battle at noon." After thinking about it, Claire suggested to Charlotte, her eyes lighting up. "Yes, but there seems to be no venue." Charlotte rested her chin on her hand, thinking for a while. She didn't refuse, but what about the battlefield? Pokemon battles have the potential to destroy the ground. Just use the school playground. My dad sponsors so much money for the school every year. What's wrong with using their playground as a training ground? Claire replied unceremoniously, without hesitation. "Just kidding, the Claire family is one of the biggest sponsors of the city's university, investing a lot of money every year to repair and renovate various facilities." "And she? The dignified Miss Claire, what's wrong with using a large playground as a training ground? I still have to report to the teacher." Charlotte's mouth twitched, not knowing what to say. "I always feel that since I got Pokemon, it seems that Claire has become more and more powerful. Before, Claire was not so assertive. By the way, Claire, has your class teacher mentioned anything to you about the 20th anniversary?" "Ah, they mentioned it to me as soon as I arrived this morning, saying they hoped I would cooperate with you to organize a performance." Claire lazily lay on the table and replied sluggishly, really wanting to play with Charmander. Charlotte is not only recognized as a school beauty but also the head of the Literature and Art Department of the Student Union. This means that even as a freshman, Charlotte is poised to become the president of the Student Union next year. The same applies to Claire. However, Claire's personality is rather laid back and lazy, and since her friend Charlotte is already in charge, she doesn't bother with it. In Claire's eyes, the Student Union just manages some tedious affairs in the school, nothing important. What's more, even without a Student Union position, Claire's status is such that even teachers must be cautious when speaking to her. Who doesn't know the background of this young lady? "By the way, Charlie, I do have an idea." Claire's eyes suddenly lit up, and she whispered to Charlotte. "Will this scare the leaders?" After hearing Claire's idea, Charlotte blinked and was a little tempted, but thinking of the senior school leaders, she was a bit worried. "Don't worry, they can handle it. Besides, this is also a great opportunity to show them Squirtle and Charmander." Claire's eyes sparkled. She was completely fascinated by Pokemon and wanted to show off Charmander in front of the entire school's teachers and students. "Okay." Charlotte agreed. Claire wasn't wrong, and this performance would definitely amaze everyone. "Speaking of which, did your classmates ask you about Charmander and Trapinch this morning?" "Sure, I even showed Charmander, and they almost wrote envy on their faces." "Me too, They all say Squirtle is super cute and smart. I bet after school, many students won't be able to resist visiting the store. That cheeky boss should give us 2 more boxes of energy cubes. That's right. We'll go to the store after school to check it out. I wonder if the boss has had any business today. The 2 girls chatted more and more enthusiastically, causing the lecturer's eyelids on the podium to twitch wildly. They should at least pretend to be discreet while chatting. Your voices are getting louder, okay? I'm a teacher, don't you want to be respectful? You're so disrespectful to the teacher. But after considering the backgrounds of these 2 students, the teacher silently continued to teach, knowing better than to offend them. The backyard of the Pokemon house. Vanillite. Ice Shard. Amy's usual clear and soft voice was now filled with obvious excitement. Mischief Vanillite floated in midair with a white chill visible to the naked eye, and pieces of ice crystals condensed and attacked Aaron on the ground. Ice-type Ice Shard move. Aaron, dodge. On the other hand, Carter's face at the moment wasn't very good looking. Or rather, it wasn't ugly, but extremely frustrated. Aaron tried to pull its 4 hooves to avoid the Ice Shard move, but since Ice Shard was a ranged move, it couldn't dodge all of it. The ice crystal fragments hit the steel armor on Aaron's body. Aaron's body ducked for a while, but it didn't respond much. This is really... Carter looked at the relaxed and comfortable Vanillite floating in the air and felt like 1,000 thoughts were racing through his mind. In addition to being frustrated, he felt even more frustrated. He was really interested in Pokemon battles, so he studied all the Pokemon rookie manuals that Alex posted in the group. According to the Pokemon attribute theory, the pure Ice-type Vanillite is actually at a disadvantage against the Steel and Rock-type Aaron. Yes, Aaron has the advantage over Vanillite, and Vanillite's Ice Shard isn't effective against Aaron. So even if the Ice Shard hit a part of Aaron just now, Aaron wasn't affected much at all. Simply put, Vanillite is using Ice Shard to barely scratch Aaron. But unfortunately, Aaron can't do anything to Vanillite. I need to get a flying-type Pokemon, seriously. Carter's face turned green as he watched Vanillite flying above and attacking while Aaron couldn't retaliate. If it were Larvitar, at least it could hit Vanillite with Rock Throw, but Aaron can't touch Vanillite at all, because Aaron can't jump. Ugh. I surrender. Filled with frustration, Carter's spirit collapsed, and he reluctantly surrendered. He must get a Pokemon that can fly. These airborne tactics are so unfair. Not being able to fly is really miserable. Chapter 84, Water Whirlpool, Soil. All sides stop fighting. Separated from the 3 little ones, Uaya hummed a song as he arrived at Sanju Hashirama's mansion to find Uzumaki Mido. It was the end of the year, and it was time to pay New Year's greetings. By the way, please also ask Mido Uzumaki to contact the members of the Uzumaki clan. The war cannot continue, it must end next year. You can negotiate the specific conditions yourself. It must be ended. Otherwise, I will withdraw the aid I provided to you. Mido Uzumaki agreed. People from the Uzumaki clan were dying every day. Don't think that naval battles are not dangerous just because everyone has ships. In fact, this is one of the most dangerous situations. When a boat capsizes and is hit by other rampaging boats, the people aboard can be instantly killed. Therefore, every time a person dies in a naval battle, it affects the entire ship. This is true for both the Uzumaki clan and Hidden Mist Village. What Uzumaki Mido was dissatisfied with were the people in power within the Uzumaki clan. They were comfortably situated behind the safety of the country of Uzumaki. Why should only he sacrifice his life? The civilians and lower-level ninjas of the country of Uzumaki were the ones fighting. Are they not human? Why are they so cruel? Those who died were all members of the Uzumaki clan. However, there was one thing that Uzumaki Mido cared about. But little Uaya. You have been secretly selling weapons to Hidden Mist Village. This may lead to a negative perception of you among the Uzumaki clan. Uaya waved his hand dismissively. It's okay, I don't care what they think of me. In my opinion, there is a problem with how they handle their position in the country of Whirlpool. What I say next may upset you, but it is the truth. Among the largest countries in the entire ninja world, the country of Uzumaki is adjacent to Hidden Leaf Village, making it the only country with the shortest distance to Hidden Mist Village's maritime trade route. If the kingdom of Whirlpool continues as it has been, their ending will undoubtedly be miserable. Uaya initially wanted to express that they were overestimating their capabilities, but he held back, considering that Uzumaki Mido was also a member of the Uzumaki clan. Even in the original Naruto Chronicles, the Uzumaki clan did not maintain good relations with other countries, except for Hidden Leaf Village. In fact, even Hidden Leaf Village did not send troops when the Uzumaki kingdom was attacked. This led to members of the Uzumaki clan preferring to flee to the Rain Country rather than Hidden Leaf Village when in danger. Although there may have been many reasons for Hidden Leaf Village's inaction at that time, If Hidden Leaf Village, under Saratobe Hiruzen, had truly wanted to assist the country of Uzumaki, they could have at least sent a ship to help evacuate people. It's impossible to say that Saratobe Hiruzen didn't consider this. A typical example is Naruto and his mother, Kushina, being brought to Hidden Leaf Village from the country of Uzumaki. Of course, this may also relate to Uzumaki Mito being too old at the time and nearing the end of her life. In short, due to its geographical location and size, the country of Whirlpool cannot follow the same developmental route as a great power like Hidden Leaf Village. It is merely a place with a larger population. But again, the kingdom of Whirlpool cannot be destroyed. It serves as a buffer between Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Mist Village. Uaya would not allow them to fall into Hidden Mist Village's hands. Uzumaki Mito also understood this, but the problem was that the Uzumaki clan did not listen to her. They were more focused on acquiring more weapons, larger ships, and sending more men to fight Hidden Mist Village. There was a prevailing belief that the Uzumaki clan would gain significant benefits if they won this war. Mito Uzumaki was discontented, but what could she do? It was impossible for her to leave Hidden Leaf Village after Senju Hashirama's death. Her influence had waned significantly since then. Why did the Uzumaki clan visit Hidden Leaf Village every year in the past? Why had they stopped coming except when they wanted something? Because Uzumaki Mito no longer held any sway in Hidden Leaf Village. Even as the Jinchuriki of the Kyubai, if she lacked the ability to influence Hidden Leaf Village's direction, not many people would take her seriously. Uzumaki Mito sighed helplessly. Her situation was not good either. Although she wanted to end the war, she didn't know how to proceed. Uaya looked up at Uzumaki Mito and asked, "Do you really want to end this war? I can help you." Uzumaki Mito perked up. "Are you willing to stop your aid to Hidden Mist Village?" Uaya smiled and shook his head. "Master's wife, you have always been very smart. Why are you being naive now? I sold weapons to Hidden Mist Village purely to stockpile them, and those weapons were sold at a discount. If I don't sell to Hidden Mist Village, they will use their own resources to produce weapons. After all, it is also a shinobi village in the Kingdom of Water, so they have no shortage of basic resources." As soon as Uaya finished speaking, Uzumaki Mito understood that Hidden Mist Village did not need Uaya's help at all. They simply found Uaya's prices to be lower than what they could produce themselves. If Uaya withdrew his weapons, Hidden Mist Village would simply rely on their own production, and the situation would remain unchanged. Uzumaki Mito was curious. "How do you plan to end this war?" Uaya looked at her and fell silent. Mito was puzzled by his lack of response, and the atmosphere grew tense. Uzumaki Mito was indeed as clever as Uaya claimed. Even without his words, she grasped the key point. You want to assassinate the elders of the Uzumaki clan?" she exclaimed in surprise. Uaya pursed his lips, adjusted his posture, and bowed his head before her. "This is the fastest method with the least long-term consequences, and it is the best solution for Hidden Leaf Village. It's not that the Kingdom of Whirlpool could not survive. For Uaya, this war was unnecessary. Even without imposing tolls in the Kingdom of Whirlpool, Uaya could still take them away. It's not as if they had no resources. As long as they handed over their military, public opinion, people's livelihoods, infrastructure, and the rights to use resources, he could help them prosper. He often thought about their ridiculous tolls. How much could they earn from those? But Uaya could not express this openly. Hidden Leaf Village was still embroiled in conflict, and he could not undertake many actions while Hidden Leaf Village was not at peace. To put it bluntly, large-scale infrastructure projects required significant manpower and material resources. Each ninja was worth at least hundreds of ordinary people. Currently, a large force of manpower was trapped on the battlefield between Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village, hindering any major construction. Furthermore, what if other villages took advantage of the situation and attacked while construction was underway? Therefore, many things could only be accomplished in peacetime. As long as the war continued, nothing could be achieved. Of course, while Uaya wanted to stop the conflict between the country of Uzumaki and Hidden Mist Village, Uzumaki Mito was still a member of the Uzumaki clan. Although Uaya could not inform her of his plan to have Kagami Uchiha lead Anbu to assassinate the elders of the Uzumaki clan, Mito would surely feel resentment afterward. It would be better to address the matter directly from the start. Uaya lowered his head and apologized to Uzumaki Mito. This is the quickest way to resolve the war. After saying that, he sighed helplessly. If you don't want to proceed with this, that's all right. I won't force you. Uzumaki Mito's expression was uncertain. She truly did not expect Uaya to propose such a difficult choice. But as Uaya pointed out, this method could indeed end the war in the shortest time. However, her last name was Uzumaki too. In the end, Uaya did not gain Uzumaki Mito's consent, so he could only sigh helplessly and leave the mansion. It was the 21st year of Hidden Leaf Village, and this New Year's Eve was still nothing major. Until Uaya was ready to focus on culture and entertainment, New Year's Eve remained an ordinary day for many people in Hidden Leaf Village, marked only by the enjoyment of good food. Now, let's think about what to do in the new year. After completing the year-end accounting, Uaya announced that everyone except the ninjas of the Shimura clan would receive a year-end bonus. The Shimura clan and their ninjas had their salaries and bonuses deducted this month. It was a coincidence, but the amount happened to exceed 5 million. The Shimura clan and other clans were unaware that the golden shoes Uaya had given them were not a sign of cowardice but a message to the Shimura clan that he would grant them a gift this time. However, he would not do so again in the future. It was a signal of politeness before engaging in conflict. Just when the Shimura clan thought Uaya would deal with him as he had the Sarutobi clan, Uaya did not summon the businessmen but instead wrote an open letter to Senshu Tobirama. What is an open letter? It is a letter that will be published in the newspaper for all the people in Hidden Leaf Village to read. Chapter 86 Uzumaki Mito smiled. This battle would end in destruction. There was no need for Hidden Leaf Village to fight hard in this grueling conflict, so they retreated strategically. But the villagers of Hidden Leaf Village didn't care about that. If they retreated, Hidden Leaf Village would lose this fight. They were disillusioned. Denzo Shimura had initiated a sneak attack. If he succeeded, he would win. Now that Hidden Leaf Village's large forces had retreated, they had suffered a loss. If you praise someone, it can backfire. Where have these families who came from the war years seen such tactics? They suddenly learn more about Uaya. In Uaya's one chat, he told Narashikaku that he got inspiration from the Hyuga clan's attempts to annoy him, which led to their own paralysis. Why didn't we think of this before? Other families also began glaring at the Hyuga clan, scrutinizing what they had done. Uaya watched the unfolding drama with amusement, thinking, if the Hinata clan enjoys irritating me, then I will return the favor. Let's see who can be more vexing. In early February of Hidden Leaf Village's 21st year, another naval battle broke out between Hidden Mist Village and the country of Uzumaki. Hidden Mist Village sunk 5 large ships, while the Uzumaki country lost 3. In the country of Uzumaki, over 300 ninjas died, while Hidden Mist Village suffered more than 100 casualties. When the news reached Hidden Leaf Village, the villagers felt indifferent. However, Mito Uzumaki could not remain still. In the middle of the month, Uzumaki Mito publicly declared in the Hidden Leaf Village Shinobi newspaper that the country of Uzumaki could no longer continue fighting Hidden Mist Village. She publicly reprimanded the elders of the country of Whirlpool, stating that most of the casualties were ninjas from civilian backgrounds. Few of the nobles from the Uzumaki clan had perished. If the elders of the Uzumaki clan wanted to continue the fight, they should send their children to the battlefield. Once this article was published, it caused an uproar within the country of Whirlpool. Although Mito Uzumaki had little influence in Hidden Leaf Village, she still held sway in the country of Uzumaki. After all, she was married to the god of ninja, and the founder of the kingdom of Whirlpool was revered like a deity. Now, the wife of this god was speaking out publicly, and her points were valid. Those who had always opposed ending the war were now called to task. Why weren't their children on the battlefield? They were the ones making sacrifices, yet the nobles did not share in the tolls. At the end of February, Uaya came forward and invited the 3rd Mizukage of Hidden Mist Village to Hidden Leaf Village. The 3rd Mizukage decided to give Uaya face, mainly because the annual transaction volume of hundreds of millions warranted it, and came to Hidden Leaf Village. Afterwards, Uaya invited the leaders of the Whirlpool Kingdom. Under his mediation, the two parties reached an agreement in early March of Hidden Leaf Village's 21st year. The country of Uzumaki would compensate Hidden Mist Village with 100 million taels for war damages, and the toll fee would be adjusted from a proportional rate to a flat rate of 100,000 taels per large ship. Both sides ceased fighting and restored peace. The 3rd Mizukage emerged victorious from the war, gaining prestige in Hidden Mist Village, allowing him to focus on stabilizing the situation within the village. As soon as the final results were announced, many villagers in Hidden Leaf Village suddenly realized. Previously it was Hidden Sand Village and Yunnan Village, but now it was Hidden Mist Village and the country of Whirlpool. Under Uaya's mediation, both parties stopped fighting. Is it possible? And indeed, that was the case. In April of Hidden Leaf Village's 21st year, Uaya invited Onoki, the 3rd Sushi Kage, and the leader of Hidden Waterfall Village to Hidden Leaf Village for friendly negotiations. The 3rd Sushi Kage came to save face, but the Taki Ninja Village did not show up. Onoki was furious, but Uaya reassured him that it was just a minor issue. Then he presented 100 million taels and sent people to the country of Grass to find the leader of the Grass Ninja Village. The temptation of 100 million taels was too strong. The leader of Hidden Waterfall Village did not resist and launched a surprise attack on Taki country. With pressure on both fronts, Taki country had no choice but to send representatives to Hidden Leaf Village and Anoki for peace talks. Eventually, the two sides reached a settlement, and the third Sushi Kage Anoki did not back down, establishing the toll at 500,000 ryo per trip. Under these conditions, Taki country retreated somewhat, but they also signed a memorandum with Uaya, agreeing that once the war concluded, Uaya would invest in building a steel plant in Taki country. Of course, Uaya didn't refuse. Investing in a factory and utilizing Taki country's resources for production was an excellent opportunity. Anyone who turned it down would be a fool. As a result, in the entire ninja world, only Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village were still at odds, while other conflicts had ceased. From this moment onward, Uaya garnered attention from Hidden Leaf Village and all the nations in the ninja world. They realized that Uaya had successfully gathered the leaders of two villages, persuading them to cease hostilities. Later, after resolving many conflicts, Uaya earned titles such as Messenger of Peace, Son of the Sun bringing warmth, and Spokesperson of the Goddess of Peace. Uaya remained indifferent to these titles, simply adapting to the new nicknames. The recent war between the country of Uzumaki and Hidden Mist Village had been resolved thanks to Uzumaki Mido. After her speech, she transformed Uaya's previous proposal into her own, suggesting that when necessary, she would arrange for someone to assassinate the leader of the Uzumaki clan, forcing the other party to come to Hidden Leaf Village for peace negotiations. Yes, what Uzumaki Mido did was to claim that Uaya had never suggested using assassination methods against the elders of the Uzumaki country. All of this was her idea. For this, Uaya felt grateful in his heart. Uzumaki Mido smiled with relief after confirming that the war had truly stopped. The insults did not matter to her. Many years later, when historians recounted Uzumaki Mido's suggestion of the dark assassination proposal, many believed it wasn't her idea but that someone must have influenced her. Although various clues pointed to Uaya, the second Hokage, as the mastermind behind it, many scholars defended their beloved third Hokage, claiming he could not be such a villain with dark motives. The consensus among scholars was that it must have been Senju Tobirama, still at the front lines, who returned to advise Uzumaki Mido. What? How do you think Senju Tobirama could return from the front? Surely he must have used the clone technique or the flying thunder god technique. Thus, it was believed to be the second Hokage's plan, never Uaya's. Chapter 85 Denzo within Hidden Leaf Village. In the letter, Uaya used grand language to praise Shimura Denzo's contributions and achievements. Therefore, he applied for Denzo Shimura to lead a brigade of the Hidden Leaf Village ninja army. To put it simply, Uaya was saying that Shimura Denzo had done a commendable job this time and deserved a promotion. As soon as this open letter was released, other families were puzzled, but the Shimura clan quickly understood. Since the letter was public, Denzo Shimura was now singled out. There was nothing wrong with the letter itself, but the problem was that it only praised Shimura Denzo as an individual. What about the rest of the clan? Did Denzo Shimura lead the attack on Hidden Clouds Village alone? No. But Uaya had only named him. There was no need to elaborate on the implications of this action. How would the Shimura clan respond? People were praising him, and they were also discussing Denzo Shimura's promotion. If they targeted Uaya, they would find it hard to justify their actions. Speaking of which, Uaya would also like to thank the Hyuga clan. The old man had posed a difficult problem for Uaya and wanted to engage in marriage politics, but Uaya had to give in. Because of this, Uaya could not take advantage of the situation to retaliate against Hinata. This inspired Uaya to choose to retreat strategically in order to advance and break through at a single point against the Shimura clan. Can't Shimura Denzo do that? Alright, let him lead a team alone and get promoted. What's wrong with that? The Shimura clan cannot criticize Uaya for praising them or flattering them, right? That wouldn't make sense. This move was distasteful, but Uaya felt very satisfied. There is a downside to flattery. If the person being flattered possesses genuine qualities, it can backfire and lead to the person taking the praise seriously. To put it simply, if Uaya said that Shimura Denzo was exceptional, and he indeed was, Denzo would likely command an army and gain recognition. Then, all the admiration for Shimura Denzo would seem deserved, and his reputation would soar in Hidden Leaf Village. When that happens, with the backing of the Shimura clan, Denzo Shimura might even be able to ascend directly to a higher position. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Doesn't it seem that Uaya might screw up this move? Not really. Setting aside the fact that Denzo Shimura led an attack on Hidden Clouds Village, it wasn't solely his fault. He merely led the team, which included high-ranking figures like Poharu and Mido Manabu. Just by nature of the situation, Denzo Shimura wouldn't be able to praise Uaya enough. If Shimura Denzo truly led a team alone in the attack on Hidden Clouds Village, think about which team would be more attractive to the new third Raikage when he decides which team to target. Once Uaya's flattery worked, It wouldn't just be about Denzo Shimura coveting the position of Hokage. First, he would need to find a way to survive under the third Raikage's scrutiny. Moreover, since Uaya had decided to win, he would certainly do more than just this action. In mid-January of Hidden Leaf Village's 21st year, after Uaya wrote the open letter praising Shimura Denzo in the newspaper, he drafted and published an article titled On the Significant Impact of Denzo-sama's Raid on Hidden Clouds Village. I won't mention the content of this article for now, but the beginning was quite interesting. It directly assigned the decisions, determination, goals, routes, and a series of strategies to deal with this raid solely to Shimura Denzo. Yes, he made all the decisions alone, thus claiming all the credit for himself. The so-called analysis later was merely a smokescreen to attract the villagers of Hidden Leaf Village to watch, discuss, and praise Shimura Denzo. The key point was the opening paragraph, which attributed the incident solely to Shimura Denzo. Therefore, while the Shimura clan hesitated to clarify their position, Uaya blocked their escape route. In late January of Hidden Leaf Village's 21st year, Hidden Clouds Village attacked Hidden Leaf Village's front line. The third Raikage went mad and led a group of Hidden Clouds Village ninjas, desperately trading their lives for the chance to take down Shimura Denzo. Senjutobirama kept trying to stop him, resulting in a casualty ratio of 800-1,000. Hidden Leaf Village lost more than 800 ninjas, while the Hidden Clouds Village forces were filled with detonating talismans, their main goal being to kill Shimura Denzo, even at the cost of their lives. Senjutobirama was finally convinced. This group from Union really didn't take their own lives seriously. But Hidden Leaf Village could not afford to engage in this kind of warfare. Why were they fighting so hard against Hidden Clouds Village? Wouldn't it be better to retreat? All Hidden Leaf Village troops withdrew from the Kingdom of Iron and returned to the border of the Kingdom of Fire. The third Raikage's desperate attack achieved results, forcing Hidden Leaf Village back to its own territory. The third Raikage swiftly became a celebrated figure in Hidden Clouds Village. When this information reached Hidden Leaf Village, Uaya smiled slightly, knowing that this would happen. So, when the news spread that Hidden Clouds Village ninjas had desperately attempted to kill Shimura Denzo, leading to the deaths of hundreds of ninjas on the front lines, the villagers of Hidden Leaf Village were alarmed. They wondered if any of their own family members were among the casualties. Suddenly, many voices began discussing Denzo within Hidden Leaf Village. However, because of Uaya's previous publicity, they could only conclude that Denzo's merits outweighed his faults. But that was enough for Uaya. After all that effort to promote himself, he ended up like this? How amusing. The best way to counteract the effects of flattery is to embrace it and then outperform it. The next best option is to publicly announce that one is not as good as portrayed to temper expectations. The worst choice is to ignore it and allow public opinion to spiral out of control. The Shimura clan did not want to allow the heat to cool down. Just when they were still hesitating, Uaya pushed Shimura Denzo into the spotlight. In the end, Union Village went into a frenzy for some unknown reason and fought a life-threatening battle, declaring their intent to kill Shimura Denzo. Chapter 86 It's really possible there was peace in Hidden Leaf Village. When shadow-level leaders from various nations gathered in Hidden Leaf Village to discuss peace, news arrived from the front lines: something had gone terribly wrong. But it wasn't a matter between Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village. Instead, it concerned the Land of Iron. The daimyo of the Iron Kingdom, revered by its samurai as their benefactor and leader, was found dead in his residence. The Land of Iron was in an uproar. During the war years, before the country became the neutral Kingdom of Iron, it was this very daimyo who had used his wealth to support the samurai, a time when samurai had struggled to survive. Unlike ninjas, who became the cost-effective option in warfare due to their versatility, samurai often went hungry, overlooked in the chaos. It was this daimyo who had gathered the scattered warriors and formed the neutral Iron Kingdom, declaring that the samurai would remain uninvolved in ninja conflicts. His death sent shockwaves across the Land of Iron, a kingdom loyal to him both in principle and history. Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village immediately began blaming each other. Both claimed the other was responsible for this assassination. However, after a thorough investigation by the Iron Kingdom samurai, evidence surfaced that implicated both villages. The situation escalated. Could it be that Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village, sworn enemies, had somehow conspired to assassinate the daimyo? The possibility seemed absurd, yet the evidence spoke otherwise. The news reached Hidden Leaf Village, where Uaya, a high-ranking figure, was left stunned. He thought to himself, this shouldn't have happened. It doesn't make sense. The Iron Kingdom was a crucial buffer state between the Land of Fire and the Land of Lightning. It had always maintained neutrality, even giving up some of its western territories to keep the ninja villages from spilling their conflicts into its borders. And now their leader had been killed, a man who had brokered peace for decades. Adding to the confusion was the fact that both Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village had dispatched representatives to the Land of Iron. They were there to negotiate neutral battlegrounds for the ongoing conflict, yet this murder occurred during their visit. Both villages quickly ceased hostilities and pledged full cooperation with the investigation. It was clear that this assassination could not be ignored. If the Iron Kingdom, with its skilled samurai force, aligned with either village, it could tip the balance of power drastically. Yui sighed as he pondered the implications. The samurai, though lacking flashy jutsu, were highly skilled warriors. A samurai at the level of a jonin would almost always outmatch a ninja of similar rank. If the Iron Kingdom abandoned neutrality, it would spell disaster for Hidden Leaf Village, especially if they sided with Hidden Clouds Village. The next morning, Yui decided to make the news public through Hidden Leaf Village's newspapers. Hiding the information wasn't an option. Many ninja families had already sent word from the front lines. Preparations for war had to begin. As he worked, Narashikaya burst into the room, visibly anxious. Is the news in today's paper true? Was the daimyo of the Iron Kingdom really assassinated? Yuya, calm despite the chaos, didn't look up. Did you finish recording the turnover for the shops on East Street, as I asked? Shikaya hesitated, caught off guard. Almost. I've recorded from the 1st to the 9th Street, but I haven't included the Uchiha clan shops yet. Yuya nodded and extended his hand. Let me see what you have so far. Shikaya handed over a scroll, and Yuya reviewed it briefly. It'll do for now. Starting tomorrow, handle the household registration for East Street. Then, collect the candy gift boxes from the sugar factory based on those registrations. Finish it within the week. Shikaya, still uncertain, agreed. Understood, I'll get it done. Before leaving, he turned back. Is it true, though? About the Iron Kingdom? Yuya finally put his pen down. Yes, it's true. But we still don't know whether it was Hidden Leaf Village or Hidden Clouds Village, or someone else entirely. Shikaya's face paled. Could the Iron Kingdom ally with Hidden Clouds Village? Yuya leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. It's possible, but I'm more worried about the Land of Earth. If the Iron Kingdom joins forces with Hidden Clouds Village, Hidden Stones Village might see this as an opportunity to attack Hidden Leaf Village while we're vulnerable. Even if they just claim a small piece of our territory, it would weaken us significantly. The room fell silent. Yuya's thoughts spiraled. Could it have been someone within Hidden Leaf Village? Unlikely. Senju Dobirama would never approve such recklessness. Could it have been Denzo? In another time, perhaps. But at this moment, Denzo lacked both the resources and influence. Then, a chilling possibility crossed Yuya's mind. What if it wasn't Hidden Leaf Village or Hidden Clouds Village? What if it was a third party? Someone working in the shadows? A name surfaced in his thoughts, Madara Uchiha. Or worse, the enigmatic Black Zetsu, manipulating events from the darkness. If that were the case, the world might be heading toward a conflict far more dangerous than anyone anticipated. Chapter 87 The mastermind behind the scenes. After Yuya guessed this possibility, his heart suddenly felt cold. Madara Uchiha was likely waiting to cause trouble at the boundary between life and death, just as he did in the original timeline. If Madara Uchiha wanted to cause trouble, he would first need an agent. However, none of the Uchiha clan members seemed to be in any trouble. Due to Senju Dobirama's distrust, all the Uchiha members were confined to Hidden Leaf Village. Even Kagami Uchiha, who had been on the battlefield, had returned. Thus, it was essentially impossible for Madara to find a suitable agent among them. The only other possible culprit was Black Zetsu. To be honest, while Black Zetsu's life-saving skills were top-notch, his combat effectiveness was negligible. After careful consideration, Yuya concluded that neither Madara nor Black Zetsu was likely the mastermind behind this. But regardless of the culprit, the war had to end. Yuya drafted a letter and sent it to the front line. When Senju Dobirama read it, his initial reaction was that Yuya must be joking. But upon further reflection, he realized the logic in Yuya's words. If the Iron Country truly joined the war, the consequences would be catastrophic. Thus, Senju Dobirama sought out a trusted general of the deceased Iron Country monarch. Getting straight to the point, Dobirama stated it was definitely not Hidden Leaf Village who assassinated the Lord. He also reasoned that Hidden Clouds Village would not risk provoking the Iron Country unnecessarily, given its formidable military strength. Based on this analysis, the war between Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village was temporarily paused. Dobirama planned to resume his campaign once the next batch of supplies arrived. At that point, even if the Raikage wanted to fight, the ninja clans of Hidden Clouds Village would likely oppose further conflict, forcing a resolution in the form of reparations and resources. However, Dobirama noted that someone must be benefiting from prolonging the war. The question was, who? He hypothesized that a party skilled in Earth-style techniques and capable of moving undetected underground, possibly Hidden Stones Village ninjas, might be involved. When Hidden Clouds Village learned of this suspicion, they openly accused Hidden Stones Village, unlike Tobirama, who kept his suspicions vague. The third Raikage, though far from foolish, understood the situation. He knew neither Hidden Leaf Village nor Hidden Clouds Village had sufficient evidence to clear themselves of blame. The only way to defuse the situation was to direct suspicion elsewhere, toward Hidden Stones Village. Both Tobirama and the Raikage, as well as the Iron Country's general, knew Hidden Stones Village was unlikely to be the real culprit. But in the absence of evidence, assigning blame to Hidden Stones Village was the most pragmatic choice. The resolution to the conflict now hinged on uncovering the truth behind the Iron Country Lord's assassination. As the war quieted temporarily, Yuya seized the opportunity to focus on development projects. His efforts led to the construction of new infrastructure, including a kindergarten with an amusement park featuring carousels, acrobatic shows, slides, haunted houses, and even a small bungee jumping site. With electricity research progressing, Yuya envisioned a future where Hidden Leaf Village could produce televisions within 3 years and mobile phones within 5. His long-term strategy was to dominate high-end industries while outsourcing lower-tier manufacturing to other nations, ensuring Hidden Leaf Village's economic influence. Meanwhile, the Iron Country's investigation revealed the assassin was a samurai who had betrayed his lord, using a kunai instead of a katana to frame ninja involvement. The general of the Iron Country demanded the samurai be executed. Publicly humiliated and tied under the scorching sun, the assassin cried out, "I killed the lord with my own hands, but it wasn't my intention. It was the shadow. It tempted me into darkness and made me lose everything." When this news reached Hidden Leaf Village, most dismissed it as the ramblings of a desperate man. But Yuya couldn't shake the feeling that the shadow the assassin referred to might be Black Zetsu. If it was Black Zetsu, this raised troubling questions. While Black Zetsu could control a body, he couldn't control someone's mind, or could he? Now, Yuya was certain who the mastermind behind this chaos was. Chapter 87 Ceasefire? Non-existent as for what the samurai said before he died, everyone except Yuya didn't believe what he said, thinking that he was just fearful before his death. Not to mention that the Iron Kingdom is a country dominated by warriors. It is this kind of cowardice that samurai despise most. Now that the Kingdom of Iron has found out the final result, although it is difficult to accept, compared to Yuya's suggestion of passing the blame to Yanian Village, this result is actually acceptable. It's better to have internal problems than to face a behemoth. The Iron Kingdom's warrior regiment is indeed powerful, but this is definitely not the reason why they can compete with Hidden Stones Village. Not to mention that Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village are still facing each other on the front line. If something goes wrong in the Iron Country, there's no guarantee that these two villages won't have any bad intentions. To put it bluntly, the eldest brother, not to mention the second brother, has Zhao Jiu in his heart. If the Iron Kingdom does not dare to offend Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village, how dare it offend Hidden Stones Village? Some may say that the Iron Kingdom is not without strength, so wouldn't it be enough to just help Hidden Leaf Village or Hidden Clouds Village to defeat the other party? This is for sure. As long as the Iron Kingdom helps one side with all its strength, the other side will definitely lose the war. But defeating the war does not mean that the country will be destroyed. At that time, the losing party will at most pay compensation and cede territory, but the Iron Kingdom will definitely be destroyed because this place has no strategic depth at all. Therefore, not interfering in the war between the two sides and maintaining neutrality is the only option for the Iron Kingdom. Previously, not only Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village were afraid that their own people would kill the king of the Iron Kingdom, but the Iron Kingdom itself was also afraid. Because once found out, war will definitely happen. Otherwise, no one can accept this result. Now that this cowardly samurai has been established as a model, the wishes of the three parties have been fulfilled. The Iron Society returned to neutrality, and Hidden Clouds Village and Hidden Leaf Village continued to confront each other. However, this time the confrontation was not as explosive. The third Raikage wanted to continue fighting, but there were different voices within the Hidden Cloud Village. The war has lasted from Hidden Leaf Village's 17th year to the summer of the 21st year now, and autumn is coming soon. In autumn, both sides must go back to collect food, otherwise, the food problem in the coming year will be really fatal. Hidden Leaf Village is better because it has been doing food transactions with Hidden Stones Village, so it can still withstand it. Although Hidden Clouds Village also has a trading relationship with Hidden Stones Village, the cooperation between the two parties is definitely not as significant as Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Stones Village. Moreover, after Hidden Leaf Village openly absorbed refugees, Hidden Clouds Village must know that Hidden Leaf Village has replenished its military strength. Even if these are just miscellaneous soldiers, there is still no problem in doing some work of transporting supplies. Additionally, there are factories and assembly lines in Hidden Leaf Village among the mountains and forests around Hidden Leaf Village. If we continue to fight, Union Village's resources will be exhausted sooner or later. It's not that Cloud Hidden Village has no resources. In fact, Cloud Hidden Village can be said to have resources second only to Hidden Leaf Village, the most central and richest land in the ninja world. Although it is not as good as Hidden Leaf Village, Hidden Clouds Village has a lot of resources. Union Village is almost out of resources because what is consumed cannot match what is mined. If Uaya opens several steel plants, several grain processing plants, and several textile factories in Union Village, then Union can still compete with Hidden Leaf Village. It's a pity that Uaya can't be so stupid. Even if they will definitely cooperate with Union Village in the future, we must do so under guaranteed circumstances. Therefore, Union Village really does not want to fight internally. As mentioned before, when the two sides fight, the ninja tools, explosive charms, and various ninja-specific steel wires, etc., are not treated as money when thrown away. The businessmen in Hidden Leaf Village were laughing so hard, while the businessmen in Union Village were almost laughing to death. But the merchants of Hidden Leaf Village were tied to a rope by Uaya. Basically, all their assets were turned into factories and shops inside Hidden Leaf Village. It seemed that they made a lot of money, but in fact, they had the largest shareholder of the factory, Tobi Ramasenshu, and the largest shareholder of the store was also Hokage. Even the largest businessmen involved with Saratobi and Shimura only have the right to pay dividends but not decision-making power. Hidden Clouds Village's businessmen don't have this restriction. If they have money, they really don't know where to spend it. There are opportunities to spend money everywhere in Hidden Leaf Village. If nothing else, the annual rent of the shops in the commercial street has already reached tens of millions, and the better ones are worth even more. There are still many businessmen looking at it eagerly and wanting to wait until next year to buy it. Not to mention that there are many businessmen who want to buy shares in the factory but cannot. At this time, I have to mention again that when the factories were first jointly built, Uaya invested $5 million in the name of Senju Tobi Rama, and he invested $2 million himself. Actually, not a penny was spent, it was just a price adjustment. For example, iron ore itself is a mined stone. It is valuable only after it is smelted into iron. In essence, it is still those iron blocks. Uaya played a concept of stealing and took the finished steel worth $2 million. Later, because Uaya wanted to engage in environmental protection and install sewage treatment equipment, many businessmen were dissatisfied with Uaya's tyranny and wanted to quit, but Uaya agreed. Initially, 1% of the shares were only 100,000 taels. At that time, 1% of the shares were 300,000 taels. Basically, it was equivalent to Uaya making 3 times the money for them without doing anything. But that was at that time. Now, more than a dozen factories are all connected together, and everyone's shares are combined. 1% already has more than 1 million. Now those businessmen who quit in the first place are regretting it, but it's no use. What Uaya wants are irreplaceable talents. Some businessmen who only speculate and are short-sighted are not easy to find. These businessmen now Uaya doesn't want to meet at all. However, it was not difficult for them to live a comfortable life with the first pot of gold they earned. With 2 apartments and a shop with a 1-year lease, their life was definitely more comfortable than ordinary people. However, compared to the businessmen who had followed Uaya from the beginning until now, these people who got off the bus could be said to be completely different. Closer to home, Hidden Leaf Village has a lot of projects for businessmen to invest in, but there is no place to spend money in Hidden Clouds Village. Here comes the question. The current situation in Union Village is that a large amount of cash is in the hands of merchants in Union Village, and the merchants in Union Village cannot spend it. What will happen? Yes, money is worthless. When resources are scarce but money is abundant, even a piece of bread may be sold for 500,000 yen. Of course, these Third Reich Hokage didn't know, and he didn't have the brains. In fact, someone in Union Village must have noticed something was wrong, but those who could really understand it must not have grasped what happened. It was against this background that several ninja families in Hidden Clouds Village passed over the Third Reich Hokage and jointly expressed their intention to cease fire to Hidden Leaf Village. The Third Reich Hokage was so angry that he smashed the Reich Hokage's office, but there was nothing he could do. After all, he had not gathered power. To put it bluntly, his Third Reich Hokage himself was forced to take the position. It looks a bit like Saratobi Hiruzen. The Third Reich Hokage, what I took was Saratobi Hiruzen's script. Just when Uaya received the news, he couldn't close his mouth. He imagined a ceasefire this year and invited the other 4 shadows to come to Hidden Leaf Village to conduct a Chunin exam to showcase the talents of Hidden Leaf Village's next generation, mainly to let the 3 ninjas go up to pretend to compete. News came from the front line. The Third Reich Hokage agreed to negotiate peace. Yuya immediately smiled. It was very good. It seemed that the third Raikage was not just a guy with muscles. Then Yuya continued to read the message, but they demanded that Hidden Leaf Village must hand over Denzo, and they promised that they would not kill Denzo but would only imprison him in the prison of the Land of Thunder. The smile on Yuya's face disappeared. These 3 generations of Raikage. It's really fun to play. Now, it was his uncle's turn to be in trouble. It's true that I didn't save the manuscript. I'm sorry to all the readers. It's normal for other authors to post updates worth 10,000 or 20,000, so I insisted on updating 3 times for more than half a week. It's really a stretch. As for the results. Do the results have to be reported? The big guys in the author groups say that an average order of 3,000 is the standard. I don't even have 1/5 of this standard. So why don't I report my grades if I pull my hips like this? Even though I'm in sales in reality, I've already lost face. Aside from that, let me put on a mask of face on the internet. 2333 The big storm of the new watch in January came out of the small dark room. The hurricane cried and fainted in the toilet. 2333, and the Earth Zhenglong was actually released. The water Zhenglong estimated it should be soon. All I can say about Silver City is that it's good to die. Although it is only limited to 2, the impact is actually quite large. Chapter 88 Open your eyes. Faced with the request of the third Raikage, Senju Dobirama could not agree. Yuya was also helpless. If Denzo was the perverted bastard from the future who liked to implant other people's eyes in himself, then Yuya would have buried Denzo long ago, without needing the third Raikage to say anything. But as the saying goes, there's no doubt that you're innocent. Yuya couldn't justify punishing someone for crimes they might commit in the future, especially since Senju Dobirama was still alive. As long as the Nadame was alive, Denzo wouldn't dare make a move. It's like a piece of toilet paper. Denzo is more useful than toilet paper. Yuya sighed, wondering why this damn war hadn't ended yet despite the current situation. Speaking of which, how many years did the original war last? Yuya leaned on the cushion and let his mind wander. At that moment, Narashika came in with a scroll. There's news from the front line. Yuya instantly perked up. Quick. Open it and take a look. Narashika nodded, opened the scroll, and read, on the 7th day of this month, bandits from Hidden Clouds Village launched a sneak attack. Lord Hokage was lured away by the sudden attack of the third Raikage. Fortunately, the sneak attack was repelled by Shimura Denzo's escort. 13 Chunin and 7 Genin were killed in this sneak attack, and 173 were injured. Okay, you don't need to read anymore. Yuya waved his hand in frustration, then looked at Narashika and asked, who wrote this battle report? Narashika replied, in Yuzuka Haruka, why? Yuya nodded and then shook his head, not very bright. How could they write the battle report like this? Narashika was also confused, then how should it be written? The next day, Narashika looked at the front page headline of the newspaper, shocked. The Hidden Cloud Village sneaked into the Hidden Lee Village camp late at night just to take Denzo's life. Hokage-sama was so powerful that he repelled the enemy. The title made his face wrinkle up. Yuya was quite shameless. Looking at the content again, it said that the reason Hidden Clouds Village launched a sneak attack was to kill Shimura Denzo, but it was blocked by Senju Dobirama and his people. The casualty numbers were interesting, not mentioning the Chunin and Genin deaths. They reported 20 dead. There were many injured, and they even wrote that there were many. Isn't this too shameless? Narashika shook his head, his feelings for Yuya deepening. This guy can really play you to death without even having to fight back. Shimura didn't cooperate during the Chinese New Year last year, so this year he was pinned to the ground and hammered by Yuya. First, there was a wave of flattery, with Shimura Denzo boasting that he was the best in Hidden Leaf Village, and the others inferior. Denzo took all the credit, and others shared it. The Shimura family was debating whether to follow this wave of flattery to make Denzo famous or to show weakness and demonstrate that Denzo wasn't that great, just bragging. In the end, there was no chance to show weakness. The newspaper was controlled by Yuya. Shimura's people wanted to find an opportunity to explain the real situation, saying that the credit belonged to everyone, and Denzo should also bear the blame. There was only one way, to directly carry a small bench to the center of Hidden Lee Village and set up a platform. Someone passed by. Just shout to someone passing by. It was embarrassing, but what else could they do? Now that there was no radio station and the newspaper was in Yuya's hands, how could the Shimura family refute rumors? It was also from this time on that the major families realized the power of newspapers. Yuya let the newspapers praise Shimura Denzo for a week, saying he was the greatest in heaven and earth. The Hokage Senju Dobirama was just the one charging at the front. It was Brother Zhang who really made the decisions. Then, halfway through, Hidden Clouds Village demanded that Hidden Lee Village hand over Denzo to stop fighting. Ah, this. Of course, Uaya criticized the public opinion offensive in Union Village in the newspaper, saying it wasn't true and might just be an excuse. Then every day they would talk about how strong Shimura Denzo was, how awesome Shimura Denzo was, and then they would publish a bunch of casualty figures every few days. Although ordinary people are simple and kind-hearted, they are often easily misled. Uaya actually arranged for people to spread the so-called truth. But some smart people figured it out on their own. Of course, this lousy newspaper is always bragging about how awesome Denzo is. Why do we in Hidden Leaf Village have so many ninjas die every few days? How could something like this happen if you are so awesome? Then Union Village assisted. To be honest, compared to the truce, Uaya really appreciated the assists Union Village gave him. Cloud Hidden Village demanded that Denzo be handed over, and this time they promised they would only imprison him and not kill him. Then many villagers were saying, why don't you give him up this time? Hand him over. Give him up for peace. My ex has been on the front line for several years and I haven't seen them. I don't even know if they are dead or alive. Why don't you hand Denzo over? Then Uaya just mentioned the Shimura clan in the newspaper, and everyone in the Shimura clan went numb. Honestly, although this was basically a divine assist that completely silenced the Shimura clan, Uaya really thought it wasn't necessary. If you don't mention this condition to restore peace, I would immediately come to you to cooperate, and we could develop and make money together, right? You just added this condition. Senjudobi Rama is not Sarutobi Hiruzen, so it is impossible for him to send Shimura Denzo to Hidden Clouds Village. Well, at this time, I actually miss Sarutobi Hiruzen. If you really want to say it, Sarutobi Hiruzen also encountered this situation in the original historical process. At that time, Hidden Leaf Village won the war, and then the fourth Raikage caused trouble. It was obviously Hidden Clouds Village's fault, but they insisted on making peace. It was one thing that Hiruzen Sarutobi was cowed. Hinata must have been under pressure from public opinion in the village at that time. The villagers of Hidden Leaf Village definitely don't want to fight, and no one is willing to let go of the peace they finally got. And now, the war has been going on for 4 years, and many people in Hidden Leaf Village don't know whether their sons, husbands, and fathers are still alive. In the past 4 years, thousands of ninjas have died in Hidden Leaf Village. Who can guarantee that there are no relatives of their own among them? If you continue to fight for one more day, your loved ones may be injured. Therefore, most people in Hidden Leaf Village do not want to continue fighting. But now, many Hidden Leaf villagers feel that the conditions offered by Hidden Clouds Village are not unacceptable. Denzo Shimura went and killed thousands of people, most of whom were ordinary people in Union Village. What does this mean? This is a massacre. This is not just. This is never a just matter. It would not be impossible if Denzo could keep doing this and keep putting pressure on the rear of Hidden Clouds Village, so that Hidden Clouds Village would eventually have to surrender due to a dilemma. However, I haven't heard of Denzo's outstanding performance since then. People are dying in Hidden Leaf Village every day. Of course Hidden Clouds Village also has people dying, but Uaya will definitely not publish this information in the newspaper. Therefore, the current Shimura clan is really in the same situation as the Hyuga clan in the original history. Of course, what is better than the Hyuga clan in the original history is that Senjudobi Rama is not as soft as Sarutobi Hiruzen. He must be tough to the end. What's worse than the original is that under the rhythm of Uaya, the Shimura clan has now become the culprit for the war that continues. What do you think the Shimura clan can do now? Just shrink your neck and pretend to be dead. The ninja family who watched the situation gradually develop to this point were numb. No, we are still thinking about how to deal with you uniting those businessmen to deal with us, and now you are trying another trick? It's really amazing that I stabbed my butt with a knife and opened my eyes. The key is. The newspaper is under the full control of Uaya. Oh no, strictly speaking, this newspaper office is under the direct jurisdiction of the Hokage. Whoever is the Hokage is in charge, but Senjudobi Rama is on the front line. Even if they want to make a complaint, they can't. What to do? What else can be done? Let's serve it cold. Anyway, it's the Shimura clan that suffers, it's none of our business. For a moment, these big families in Hidden Leaf Village were silent. Chapter 89 OK, ceasefire. In the autumn of the 21st year of Hidden Leaf Village, Senjudobi Rama returned from the front line. The nominal excuse was to come back to arrange the harvesting of food, but in fact, he wanted to find Uaya's staff to advise on the direction of Hidden Leaf Village's future development. Over the past 4 years, Senjudobi Rama has finally come to understand. In terms of combat prowess, even 10 Uayas could not match him, but in terms of developing the village and making it richer and stronger, even 100 of him could not match Uaya. Everyone can see the changes in Hidden Leaf Village in just 4 years. Maybe the people in Hidden Leaf Village's main village can't feel it. After all, they are in the village themselves. At most, They can see construction going on in many places around them. During the day, there are all kinds of noisy construction sites everywhere. But in fact, the development of Hidden Leaf Village has doubled several times. Doubling every year for 4 years is enough to double 16 times. Of course, because Hidden Leaf Village was developed as an agricultural country before, and the world has the most food, so in the process of transforming from agriculture to industry, Hidden Leaf Village's GDP is indeed calculated by doubling the progress. This is an exaggeration. It is so exaggerated that anyone who sees the data compiled at the end of each year will feel dizzy. Of course, Uaya was the only one in Hidden Leaf Village except Senju Dobirama who saw these data. Other people in the Hokage's office go to the grassroots level and calculate how much iron a factory produces in a year, how much wages are paid to workers, how much ore is left, and so on. Each factory is registered in this way and then summarized. Who knows the final total data except Uaya? Uaya told Senju Dobirama in a secret message. In fact, Senju Dobirama wanted to come back at the beginning of this year. It's one thing to discuss the development of Hidden Leaf Village with Uaya, but it's another thing to find Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Hiruzen had been silent since he followed Senju Dobirama's suggestion and sent more than half of the clan's land to Uaya. Senju Dobirama still values himself as a student. If possible, he didn't want to see a conflict between Sarutobi Hiruzen and Uaya, because that would mean he had to make a choice. In fact, it is a choice, but no matter how many times he chooses, Senju Dobirama will only choose Uaya. After Senju Dobirama returned to the village, Uaya was not the only one who was excited. These ninja families were inexplicably excited for some reason. Then on the second day after Senju Dobirama was discussing the future development of Hidden Leaf Village with Uaya, a representative of the Shimura family found Senju Dobirama. After that, he talked about Uaya's matter, and his tone was full of complaints. Basically, it meant that the Shimura clan's reputation in the village was almost ruined, and Senju Dobirama had to deal with this little bastard. Senju Dobirama's expression was very strange. He didn't expect that people from the Shimura clan came to him specifically for this matter. After calling Kagami Uchiha to understand the cause and effect of the matter, Senju Dobirama's expression became even weirder. Although he knew that Uaya would most likely be able to play with these guys, he really didn't expect it to be in this way. One is to use the profit-seeking nature of those businessmen to force the Sarutobi clan to give in, and the other. He actually used newspapers to set off a storm of public opinion. To put it bluntly, Senju Dobirama himself didn't know that the newspaper in Uaya's hands could do this. The great thing about Uaya's two skills lies in their replicability. Those merchants could force the Sarutobi clan to give in by uniting together, but on the other hand, if the Sarutobi clan could unite these merchants at that time, it would be Uaya who would be forced. The point is here. It is the nature of businessmen to seek profit, and Sarutobi cannot give these businessmen any major benefits. In the past 4 years, Uaya has really used Hidden Leaf Village's interests to tie these businessmen to his chariot, and the most important thing is yes. These businessmen are not irreplaceable. If they don't satisfy Uaya, Uaya will kick them out and replace them with a new group of businessmen in a matter of minutes. And once this incident comes out, they will betray Uaya unless someone can give these businessmen greater benefits in the future, otherwise they will have no choice but to work hard for Uaya. After all, it is true that he targeted Sarutobi. Sarutobi did not dare to offend and had no reason to target Uaya. After all, Uaya did not play dirty tricks, although he just used these businessmen. Therefore, it would be impossible for Sarutobi to hold back when dealing with these businessmen. As long as he seizes the opportunity, he would definitely be beaten. Although Sarutobi is silent now, if the Sarutobi clan really breaks up with Uaya, it will bring great harm to Hidden Leaf Village. But again, the Hokage of Hidden Leaf Village is Senju Dobirama, at least for now. It is impossible for the Sarutobi clan to withdraw the ninjas of the Sarutobi clan on the front line because of the conflict with Uaya. That would be a slap in Senju Dobirama's face. Senju Dobirama would not be as gentle as Sarutobi Hiruzen. Union Village is a group of guys with muscles and no brains, but if you really want to say that if Union Village dares to jump, Kyanju Dojian will dare to catch it. No matter how you look at it, this eldest brother's temper cannot be that of an easygoing, soft-spoken, and good-natured person. Character? As for the newspaper, Kyanju Dobirama shook his head and laughed. I didn't know that the newspaper company had such ability before, but now I know. Senju Dobirama learned a little bit about it and found that Uaya had already thought about it from the beginning. The newspaper is directly under the Hokage. What does that mean? This means that strictly speaking, this newspaper is now under the control of Senju Dobirama, and will be under the control of the future Hokage in the future. Unless a certain Hokage has a brain problem and gives the ownership of the newspaper to others, he will lose control. Senju Dobirama couldn't be such a stupid person, and neither was Uaya. Therefore, Senju Rama was relieved after knowing the news. Then there is only one question left. The Sarutobi clan. In other words, Hiruzen Sarutobi. Senju Rama was very busy after he came back. On the first day he came back, he talked with Uaya in detail all night. The general content was about the future development of Hidden Leaf Village and whether the supplies at the rear could sustain it and whether there was any pressure. The next day, the elder of the Shimura clan took the initiative to come to the door and talked a lot, but Senju Rama didn't make a single promise. The Shimura clan finally understood that, as originally suspected, Senju Rama planned to fully support the training of Uaya as the third generation. After that, Senju Rama went to the Sarutobi clan. No one knows what exactly Senju Rama talked with the Sarutobi clan. However, what is known is that after Senju Rama left the Sarutobi clan, the Tobi clan supported 300 ninjas to the front line, plus the Sarutobi ninjas who were already on the front line. Now, except for the dozens of Sarutobi ninjas who worked at the hub of Hidden Leaf Village, the Sarutobi clan basically had no strength of its own. Stay in Hidden Leaf Village. Scholars who deciphered this period of history many years later realized that Senju Rama had given the Sarutobi clan a big deal. If the Sarutobi clan, under the leadership of Sarutobi Hiruzen, could win this war with Hidden Clouds Village, that Senju Rama didn't mind that Sarutobi Hiruzen took the position of the third Hokage with his prestige. As for Shimura Denzo, the same is naturally true. Later, after careful consideration, the Shimura family decided to go all out and gamble according to this method. As everyone from Hidden Leaf Village Shimura and Sarutobi went to the battlefield, and Senju Rama was in charge inside the village, Uaya started reforms immediately. First, the completed Hidden Leaf Village kindergarten began to enroll students, then the amusement park also began to open, and then Hidden Leaf Village Hospital also opened for business. These three announced their opening almost on the same day. Later, Uaya announced that savings bank deposits are divided into current and fixed term. The current interest rate is 1.5 percentage points per year and the fixed term interest rate is 2.8%. At the same time, Uaya took out the gold in the savings bank and slipped it around. Senju Rama, this is my gold, be careful not to break it. It gave the villagers of Hidden Leaf Village a reassurance. In the same month, Uaya announced that the first batch of Hidden Leaf Village Special Research Institute research products would be put into trial operation in the inner city of Hidden Leaf Village. It includes a 3-piece set of a gramophone, an electric fan, and a photo camera. This is to prepare for the subsequent conversion of radio waves into sound waves and radio waves into light waves. Almost within a month, the inner city of Hidden Leaf Village seemed to have completely changed. Uaya asked those businessmen to cooperate with him and put out 1,000 sets in the first batch, and then publish them in newspapers. Some workers after get-off work came over to take a look out of curiosity, and then their attention was attracted by the records playing on the gramophone. What was recorded on this kind of record was not high-end, but some simple music and popular stories told by some storytellers in Hidden Leaf Village. In Uaya's eyes, these 3 gadgets are experimental toys, useless, just made for cutting a wave of leaks. But the effect is really unexpectedly good. The gramophone, which cost 100,000 taels each in the record, which cost 2,000 taels, was sold out almost the next day. Electric fans, which are supposed to be of great use in summer, were also sold out the next day. It's a camera that can record your appearance, like a camera, but has no storage function and can only display one image at a time. Some people also buy it. It can only be said that almost everyone in the villagers of Hidden Leaf Village is rich now. Moreover, people who have experienced war often do not even have enough to eat, so how can they have the opportunity to waste money? Of course, everyone has a beautiful yearning for life in their heart. Many people don't mind working hard if it can make their lives better. What they fear is that after working hard for half their lives, all they get back is an aging body and diseases. I'm going too far. In short, Uaya's deeds of making more than 20 million ryo in 2 days after Sarutobi and the Shimura clan sent a large number of ninjas to the front line made Senju Rama dumbfounded. The most important thing is that this does not mean that this is Uaya's limit. It's not even Hidden Leaf Village's limit. Uaya simply wants to free up production capacity for the production of supplies for the front line. All production lines cannot be used for these things. These gadgets do make money, and they do have their effect in improving national happiness, but their contribution to national defense is almost zero. It's impossible to let the ninjas on the front line rush forward carrying a gramophone. Therefore, Uaya stopped production after producing 1,000 sets in the first phase. This makes Senju Rama anxious. If you don't let him make money, it will be worse than killing him. But Uaya was right, the front line must be more important than the rear. No matter how rich the village of Hidden Leaf Village is, if it doesn't have strong fighting ability, it is just a fat pig with plenty of oil and water. Senju Rama gritted his teeth, He had another reason why he had to use speed to make Hidden Cloud's village surrender. But there is one thing Sanjutobirama doesn't understand: why did you do this after the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan left? Aren't you prepared to take out these things when they are here? Uaya said with a smile. Yes, that's it. If they were here and I had created so many good things, it would be inevitable that they would think of something that was not there. Kion Shao Fijian was silent. Indeed, the gramophone and electric fan were sold out in 2 days, and they were directly sold for 20 million taels. This is no longer a huge profit that can be explained by normal business. Not to mention Shimura and Sarutobi, he both wanted to make a fortune from it. Oh, he is Hokage, and part of the money earned here belongs to him, so that's okay. And this was not the only surprise Uaya brought to Sanjutobirama. Sanjutobirama would naturally not go to a place like an amusement park that didn't interest Tobirama. But for most people in Hidden Leaf Village, this is the best place for entertainment. On Fridays and 2 days off every week, most villagers in Hidden Leaf Village choose to work overtime and take a day off, because there is really nothing fun to do. But things are different now. The main focus of this amusement park is hand-to-hand parent-child companionship. The kindergarten or daycare next door not only helps you take care of your children, but also teaches them some simple words, saving you the time of educating your children. In the past 4 years, with the rapid development of Hidden Leaf Village and Uaya's encouragement of childbirth, most people have had 2 children at home. And the first child has undoubtedly reached the threshold of kindergarten. This is also the reason why Uaya only opened a kindergarten this year. Even if it opened last year, there were not so many children coming to school. What surprised Sanjutobirama the most was Uaya's hospital. The Sarutobi clan gave up the land, and because the hospital was urgently needed, Uaya built the hospital. Although the Sarutobi clan has some objections to bringing their own morgue, as time goes by, their opinions will gradually disappear. Sanjutobirama stayed in Hidden Leaf Village until the end of the year. Throughout the autumn, Uaya used his free time to build another 10,000 electric fans and 10,000 gramophones to cut leaks and succeeded in cutting them, which amazed Sanjutobirama. This was the hospital. Perhaps because of the years of war, many elderly people in Hidden Leaf Village have more or less physical problems. And this also makes the hospital the biggest profiteer. In the first few weeks after the hospital opened, some people may have been somewhat fearful of the hospital. After all, the hospital has its own morgue. But when the first person to enter the hospital appeared and praised him highly after coming out, the hospital became popular. Uaya, I don't know, it's definitely not procrastination. This is definitely not procrastination, and the Uchiha clan is now crying and fainting in the toilet. This hospital originally belonged to them. To be honest, the Uchiha clan is also very embarrassed now. Uchiha Mirror has decided to serve Uaya, but the Uchiha clan is unwilling. Before, he thought Uaya was insulting their Uchiha. As a result, this is what the hospital looks like now? Did you misunderstand the agent? The clown turned out to be myself? Even so, the Uchiha clan is relatively aloof and would not be able to take the initiative to seek help from Uaya. And Uaya didn't care, so the two sides continued to have an awkward stalemate. Sanjutobirama is happy to see this situation. However, he has more important things. Because of the current affairs of Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village, many of Uaya's external plans cannot be implemented. Chapter 90 Why? When any normal person discovers that there is a problem within the group he or she belongs to, he suppresses the problem and then transfers it to the outside. This operation cannot be said to be wrong. What's more, the only real problem with the third Raikage's operation is that his target is a Hidden Leaf Village who cannot be eliminated by Hidden Clouds Village. But because of this, Union Village has stabilized internally. As mentioned before, the current problem of Union Village is that after a civil strife, internal conflicts in Union Village are about to break out. Hidden Clouds Village and Hidden Leaf Village fought for 4 years, but only thousands of ninjas died. Well, this number is actually scary, because Hidden Clouds Village and Hidden Leaf Village have never sent Gain into the frontline battlefield before. In other words, the thousands of ninjas who died were all Chunin and Jounin. This was already a very serious casualty ratio. Just like ordinary people make up the majority of the ninja world, Gainin definitely account for the vast majority of ninjas. There is no country that has more Jounin than Gainin. However, this is an external fight, and if there are losses in the external fight, neither Hidden Clouds Village nor Hidden Leaf Village can say anything. But these two bastards, the Jinian brothers, are causing civil strife. These two idiots sneak attack the second-generation Raikage. In order to leave a young man and a future for Hidden Clouds Village Aion Village, the second-generation Raikage blocked the Gold and Silver brothers for 3 days and 3 nights, and finally died of exhaustion. From this moment on, the die-hard troops of the Gold and Silver brothers and Raikage will be immortal. After that, there was a big fight between the two sides, and the number of dead and injured ninjas was more than double the loss in the fight with Hidden Leaf Village. Although the war was finally won, the Third Raikage came to power in a hurry and had no control over the internal affairs. At this time, some people will inevitably have their own thoughts. It's just that this little idea was wiped out by Denzo's sneak attack. Because those who died in Denzo's sneak attack were civilians, ordinary people. After all, ordinary people in Cloud Hidden Village accounted for the majority. The Third Raikage seized the opportunity and firmly demanded that Hidden Leaf Village hand over Denzo. Regardless of the impact this has on Hidden Leaf Village, within Hidden Cloud's village, what this decision brings is that the vast majority of people in Hidden Cloud's village feel that the third generation Raikage is not bad and worthy of the position of Raikage. And with this benefit, when problems arise within Hidden Cloud's village, the Third Raikage follows suit and decides to continue to transfer the conflict outwards. It is understandable that he now demands Senju Obirama to hand over Denzo. To put it bluntly, both Uaya and Obirama knew why the Third Raikage suddenly became so tough again. Because there are really difficult to solve problems within Union Village. The Country of Thunder is a country with rich resources, second only to the Country of Fire, but the Country of Thunder does not belong to Hidden Cloud's village. The Country of Thunder also has daimyo, and Raikage cannot go beyond the daimyo to use the resources of the Country of Thunder. The one country one village system often exists in the form of one country and one country, but the two sides are natural allies. The same is true for the relationship between the Fire Nation and Hidden Leaf Village. Take the Hokage selection as an example. The Fire Nation has the right to make suggestions for Hidden Leaf Village's Hokage election, but that's all. The Fire Nation has no right to appoint anyone to become Hokage. I don't know if the Third Raikage went to Uaya, the great name of the Kingdom of Thunder, but Uaya estimated that he probably did. Because Hidden Cloud's village is not like Hidden Leaf Village, Hidden Leaf Village is crazy about buying all kinds of food from Hidden Stones Village and Hidden Mist Village, so that the resources can be maintained in the current peaceful state. For Uaya, eating the purchased food first and then using Hidden Leaf Village's granary is a basic operation. It doesn't matter if there is any left over. It would be great to use the old rice to make wine next year. It won't be wasted anyway. But Union did not meet this condition. Hidden Cloud's village can indeed trade with Hidden Stones Village and Hidden Mist Village, but the essence of the transaction is actually to exchange things for things. Your currency is given to other countries, and other countries can use your currency to buy your things. The value of the intermediate currency is the function is to act as a bridge between the goods of both of us. After all, pulling a cart full of things is definitely not as convenient and fast as a few banknotes. As mentioned before, the currency unit 2 in this world is generally equivalent to each country. Hidden Leaf Village's currency is the Hidden Leaf Village logo printed on the back of 2. In the same way, behind the 2 used by Hidden Cloud's village is the symbol of Hidden Cloud's village. Usually, the ratio between the two parties and several other countries is 1:1. But things are different now. Cloud Hidden Village had no harvest for 2 years due to civil strife. However, the families in Cloud Hidden Village made a lot of money due to the collapse of the Gold and Silver Brothers and the rise of the Third Raikage. Everyone had a lot of currency from the Land of Thunder. This inevitably leads to inflation. These families also need to eat, but because the 2 bastards Jinian brothers destroyed Union Village itself does not have much food. The Third Raikage wanted the people of Hidden Cloud Village to have enough to eat, so he had no choice but to turn to the outside world for help. But the supplies brought back do not mean that if you calculate that there are 200,000 people in your village, each person prepares 50 kilograms of grain, and a total of 10 million kilograms of grain is prepared, everything will be fine. The grain brought back by the Third Raikage will eventually be sold at the grain market. And once they enter the grain market, the picture of Union Village sharing the grain equally will not appear. Those members of the Union Village family who have a lot of money in their hands but cannot spend it will definitely seize the opportunity to exchange the money for food. There may be people here who want to cause trouble. But even if they don't want to cause trouble, it's normal for these families to exchange money for food in order to survive. This will inevitably lead to a spike in food prices. Once food prices rise, the prices of all other things will rise and the currency will depreciate. This is relative. Although it is not as much as 500,000 taels per loaf, it is still outrageous. Ordinary people definitely can't afford food anyway. What should I do if I can't afford it but still want to survive? The only option is to sell yourself into a slave and beg for food or... Let's leave Union Village. It's not that you have to go to Hidden Leaf Village after leaving Hidden Cloud's village. You can still survive even if you go to other places in the Kingdom of Thunder. This will create a scene where people flee. At this point, even people who don't understand economics know that there is a big problem in Union Village. Is there any way to solve this situation? The third Raikage thought of the previous means of resolving internal conflicts, so he once again caused trouble for Hidden Leaf Village at the beginning of Hidden Leaf Village 22. Both Yuya and Senju Dobirama knew this very well. This puts Senju Dobirama in a very difficult position. He just made up his mind to cease the war, and now these 3 generations of Raikage are rushing up to bark at them. Do you think he will ignore them? Ignore these crazy dogs in Union Village who really dare to come up and bite people? But Yuya smiled. It just so happened that although it was a bit early to use this trick now, Yuya didn't mind using some dirty tricks as long as it could end the war. So, Yuya waved his hand and sent Senju Dobirama back to the front line. He himself immediately activated the manufacturing plant, then went to the bank to get a 500 grams gold brick from Senju Dobirama. He wanted to use it. This pound of gold stirred up the conflict between the Kingdom of Thunder and Union Village. Of course, Yuya and Senju Dobijian had already discussed this matter, and Senju Dobirama was also curious about what Yuya could do with a pound of gold. Then Yuya financed this pound of gold, covered on the casing of a gramophone, and then sent a team of people to Daming Mansion in the Kingdom of Thunder. Yes, not to Union Village but to Daming Mansion. To put it simply, the central idea of Uyupai people in the past was, the fact that Hidden Clouds Village and Hidden Leaf Village are at war does not mean that there is a conflict between the Fire Country and the Thunder Country. This gramophone is made of pure gold, meaning it is covered with a layer of gold. This is the Hokage agent of my village, Yuya-sama. Specially given to you. Don't worry, I have absolutely no other intentions. I just want to make friends with you. If there is any purpose, it is probably that Yuya agent wants to do business with you. Therefore, in the summer of the 22nd year of Hidden Leaf Village, the first cooperation was reached between the daimyo of the Land of Thunder and the Hidden Leaf Village. The first batch of 500 tons of grain was exchanged with Hidden Leaf Village for 10 gramophones, a box of jewelry, 100 electric fans, and cloth, 10 pieces of silk and brocade grade, and 100 photo cameras. If we look at the price alone, excluding the box of jewelry, the others add up to the price of almost 500 tons of grain. It means that this box of jewelry is free. The daimyo of the Land of Thunder immediately accepted with a smile. You are a fool if you don't want to do business in vain. Yuya also laughed. Those electric fans and gramophones were a little more expensive, but they had the technical content of hammers. Not to mention that after the daimyo of the Kingdom of Thunder bought these things, he would find that the batteries given could only last for 1 month. After that, you either need to buy batteries or ask Hidden Leaf Village to build a power plant in the Land of Thunder before you can continue to use it. Yuya didn't believe that these big names who wanted to enjoy themselves could still go back after enjoying the coolness of the electric fan in the hot summer. Just like enjoying the blowing of air conditioner, you will never go back to the days of using electric fan. By the way, if you look at the skin color of the ninjas in Hidden Cloud Village, you will know how hot this place is in summer. Yuya didn't believe that after enjoying the summer with the fan blowing and listening to the music on the gramophone, the daimyo of the Land of Thunder could go back to the past summer when there was nothing. Of course, it is not Yuya's purpose to let the daimyo of the Land of Thunder enjoy. There is only one purpose. The third Raikage. Well, in the early summer of Hidden Leaf Village 22, the third Raikage, who was fighting Hidden Leaf Village every day on the frontline battlefield, turned pale after receiving the detailed list of transactions between the daimyo of the Land of Thunder and Hidden Leaf Village, and almost fainted. It is said that the roars of the 3 generations of Raikage resounded throughout the world that day. Why don't you give it to us when there is so much food? Why? I can't stand it anymore, my nose is running. This cold is too uncomfortable. The main reason is that I don't have time to rest. I take gankang at night and have to go to work during the day but don't dare to ask for leave. If I take leave and work hard, I will lose it. Although the basic salary in sales is only more than 2,000, however, taking a day off for full attendance costs 400 yuan and the average basic salary adds up to about 480 yuan. I'm not the kind of salesperson who makes great sales, so I definitely value perfect attendance. Let's get here first, the state is really not good, I feel so uncomfortable. Thanks to the boss Honglian for the reward, boss Niubai, give it to boss Bobo, give it to Bobo Momo Da. Chapter 91. It's finally over. In the summer of Hidden Leaf Village 22, the third Raikage felt that he had been tricked by the daimyo of the Land of Thunder. Of course, this was indeed the case. If the daimyo of the Land of Thunder had been willing to provide food to the troops of Hidden Clouds Village, then, if nothing else, the troops of Hidden Clouds Village truly would have had a chance to engage in a protracted war with Hidden Leaf Village. But now, let alone fighting a protracted war, it would be lucky if they were not dragged down by Hidden Leaf Village. The internal problems in Hidden Clouds Village have become more and more serious. As for Hidden Leaf Village, let's not say they are lying in wait. It can only be said that there is no shortage of material supplies. They build high walls and directly engage in turtle-style warfare, mainly employing a strategy of hidden warfare. The third Raikage was anxious but also knew that he could not really devote all his troops to a war. To put it nicely, it is a desperate move. To put it badly, it is simply seeking death. It is not like Uaya's past life where he was forced into a desperate situation and then won a war. But every time it happened, it was regarded as shocking and recorded in the history books. There have been countless wars, large and small, for thousands of years, but why are there only these cases recorded in history books in which a small number fought against a large number? Isn't it because this is an extremely rare probability? Moreover, a prerequisite for this kind of war is that the opponent must act foolishly. Do you think Senjudobi Rama, who decided to use turtle tactics to drag Hidden Cloud's village to death, seems to be a fool? There is a saying here, as long as Senjudobi Rama doesn't inexplicably lead a group of troops to someone else's base camp to negotiate peace and get attacked by surprise, but instead sets up a battle formation and fights, then Senjudobi Rama is truly worthy of everyone. We all came from the war years. Although we love peace, we still know how to fight a war. On the front line, the third Raikage was stabbed in the back by the daimyo of the Land of Thunder and sadly discovered that this battle was really unwinnable. The Land of Thunder would rather give its resources to Hidden Lee Village in exchange for those things than to Hidden Cloud's village. Doesn't this explain the problem? Of course, if the third Raikage agreed to the conditions of the daimyo of the Land of Thunder, then the Land of Thunder would also be willing to support Hidden Cloud's village. Yes, the third Raikage approached the daimyo of the Land of Thunder, but the other party proposed to exchange the power of entrustment of the Raikage of Hidden Cloud's village in exchange for the support of the Land of Thunder to Hidden Cloud's village. It is impossible for the third Raikage to agree to this condition until the last moment when Hidden Cloud's village is exterminated. The daimyo of the Land of Thunder does not find this strange. No normal Kage would agree to this condition. After all, the relationship between the daimyo of the Land of Thunder and Hidden Cloud's village is not like the relationship between those small countries and small ninja villages. Although they really want to turn this relationship into a superior subordinate relationship. The third Raikage understood that the war could no longer be fought. But he still didn't want to give up. After all, Hidden Cloud's village is in such a horrible state now. If there is not something that can make Hidden Cloud's village suck blood, Hidden Cloud's village will really suffer. In the entire ninja world, the one with this size is undoubtedly Hidden Lee Village. The third Raikage wanted to give Hidden Cloud's village some breathing time by defeating Hidden Lee Village. And Senjudobi Rama naturally knew this. Therefore, Senjudobi Rama's main focus is to defend with one hand. The battle situation on the front line has become a foregone conclusion with Uaya's treasure offering and gift to the daimyo of the Land of Thunder. The third Raikage is now desperate. Because he couldn't see the future hope of Hidden Cloud's village. And Uaya is also in despair. Because he found that the plan for the multinational Chunin examination that he had tried so hard to delay the graduation of the 3 children for a year was ruined. The war is a foregone conclusion, but it will definitely not be finished this year, because autumn is coming soon, and in the autumn the third Raikage will definitely go back and lead people to harvest the harvest. This is the last capital that their base camp can get. In other words, guess whether Hidden Lee Village made a fortune from this? Guess how much Hidden Cloud's village currency Uaya has in his hand. Now that the money in Hidden Cloud's village is becoming less and less valuable during the war, it would be a waste if Uaya doesn't seize the time to harvest it. Of course, not to mention these, the most important thing now is whether I can delay graduation for another year. It's impossible to let other Hidden Lee Village students take the Chunin exam, right? Then, time passed like this, and in the autumn of the 22nd year of Hidden Lee Village, the ninja school was about to have a holiday. At this time, Saratobe Hiruzen found Uaya and said that he would take 3 students. And among these 3 students, he named Tsunoda by name. Saratobe Hiruzen also said this to Uaya. Strictly speaking, this girl Tsunoda no longer has the surname Senju because she followed the instructions of the first Hokage, Hashirama-sama, but after all, she is the first Hokage's granddaughter. We, the Saratobe clan, are sworn to be loyal to the first Hokage. Even if Hashirama-sama is gone, we will firmly protect Hashirama-sama's successor. So, let me lead Tsunoda and her group of ninjas. Uaya laughed after hearing this. Although Uaya has never brought his identity as a disciple of the first Hokage Senju Hashirama to the stage, it doesn't matter if the civilian ninjas, ordinary villagers, or people from some small families in Hidden Lee Village don't know. But how could the big clans like Saratobi, Shimura, Hyuga, and even Uchiha forget that Uaya had such an identity? Although Saratobe Hiruzen's words were nominally talking about Tsunoda, in fact, his subtext was directed at Uaya. Of course, Uaya could tell. The Saratobi clan saw that the war was a foregone conclusion. Now unless Senjutobirama suddenly died or a meteorite hit Senjutobirama's head, and Senjutobirama didn't use Flying Thunder God to dodge, Hidden Leaf Village would not lose this war, such a familiar rush. Otherwise, it would only be a matter of time before Hidden Leaf Village wins. So the question is, what role do Saratobi, Shimura, and other people play in this war? Did they play a decisive role? No. Uaya, on the other hand, took the back route and cut off the Third Raikage's idea of receiving huge amounts of aid from the daimyo of the Land of Thunder. Not to mention that in the past few years, Uaya has been responsible for logistics supplies and has never let the front line run out of food. No one is blind enough to not know who has the most credit. So here comes Saratobi Hiruzen. He also made this suggestion. Will Uaya refuse? Of course not. Although this would result in the possibility that the three little ones would not be able to appear in next year's Chunin examination competition, compared to the benefits of Saratobi Hiruzen giving up competing with Uaya, if they don't appear, they won't appear. Anyway, sooner or later these three guys will become famous. Uaya thought that the war would not end until next year. At the end of the 22nd year of Hidden Leaf Village, the Third Raikage announced his surrender to Hidden Leaf Village. He would personally lead the team to discuss compensation on a certain day. When the news came back to Hidden Leaf Village, everyone was singing and dancing, happily celebrating the good news. Uaya was also very happy. Although it would have been better if he had surrendered last year, this year is not bad either. As long as peace can be restored. Uaya stood in front of the window of the Hokage's office. Uaya, who was about to turn 17, raised his hand to his forehead and looked at the beaming villagers in Hidden Leaf Village. Uaya smiled slightly. Peace is better. But when he thought about waiting for Senjutobirama and a large army to return to the village, Uaya couldn't laugh anymore. There is still a lot to do. I'm worried about catching a cold now, and it won't be good on Sunday. I'm looking forward to Ab's New Year's Eve. Chapter 92 Hidden Leaf Village 22 years on the day the war ended, Uaya asked the newsboy to take the newspaper and shout on the streets, spreading the news to everyone in the inner city. Hidden Leaf Village was suddenly filled with peace and excitement. Uaya stood in front of the window of the Hokage's office. After feeling sad for a few seconds, he came back to his senses and prepared to continue working. Lu Yi, have you found out the population statistics of the outer city? Narashikaku also nodded. There are a total of 141,875 people in the outer city, of which 1/5 are children under 16 years old, 3/5 are between 16 and 30 years old, nearly 1/5 are between 30 and 45 years old, and the last few are people over 45 years old. Uaya nodded. In fact, he only needed a number. But there are 140,000 people in the outer city. Uaya squinted his eyes and tapped lightly on the table with his fingers. The combined population of the inner and outer cities has exceeded 800,000. It doesn't look like that much, and it's far from Uaya's goal of 1 million. But Uaya knows better that in peacetime, compared to wartime, it will be more difficult to get people to come to you and give to you. In times of war, you only have to take care of one thing, but in times of peace, those who come here have much more to ask for. As long as you're different from what you advertise, those people will have to break their defenses. Thinking of this, Uaya made a decision: notify the people at the Immigration Administration and ask them to completely stop the policy of absorbing foreigners. Of course, not immediately, but slowly over a month. Lu also nodded, understood. Uaya waved his hand, and Luaya went down to do some work. Brother Kagami. Uaya suddenly called. Kagami Uchiha walked out of the shadows. Agent, what can I do? Uaya smiled slightly. The name is coming back from the battlefield soon. This is not good news for Uchiha, right? Kagami Uchiha was silent. Uaya waved his hand. Okay, I don't mean anything against you. If I have time to target you, I'd rather go eat barbecue. Please tell me something. On the day when the second Hokage comes back, some old guys who are huddled in the family and refuse to come out should go out for more walks, bask in the sun, and staying at home all day long without fear of mold. Please tell the elders of your family, and they will know what it means. Understood, Agent. Boom. He is a threat. The old Uchiha patriarch slammed the table and shouted angrily. An elder glanced at the clan leader and said softly, so what about the threat? This agent just said it. Senjutobirama just pushed Uchiha into the ground. Why, do you want to resist the second Hokage, but you can't? The Uchiha clan is so weird. Logically speaking, Senjutobirama has been targeting the Uchiha clan for so many years, and everyone in the Uchiha clan should hate him. Of course, many people in the Uchiha clan do hate Senjutobirama. But when it came to really going against Senjutobirama, these people became timid again. Even if Senjutobirama died, in the original history, After Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage who could not be considered tough at all, came to power, the Uchiha clan only dared to do small things in secret. Uchiha often doesn't understand the logic of these people. Are you, the Uchiha clan, conspiracy material? If you don't have that diamond, don't take up the porcelain job. However, the Uchiha clan seems to be a typical example of being both good and fun-loving. It's the same now. The Uchiha clan members who hated Senjutobirama to their core were immediately stunned when they heard that Senjutobirama was coming back soon. With these things, what do you expect them to do? Uchiha finally saw clearly the naive and fun-loving mentality of people like Uchiha, so he simply pointed it out directly. The day Senjutobirama comes back, you Uchiha will also have to send someone to greet him. I think you know the consequences of not sending someone. This is indeed a threat, but if you think about it differently. Could it be a tip from the agent? An Uchiha clan member suddenly raised his hand and asked. The Uchiha clan elder and the clan leader frowned at the man at the same time. This person suddenly became the center of attention, and his face was full of embarrassment, but he still said, "Actually, I have wanted to say it for a long time." Acting for him is different from Hokage-sama. Really speaking, doesn't acting always benefit the Uchiha clan? Even the most important water plant in the village was built on Uchiha land. That's because only Uchiha is closest to the river. Another Uchiha snorted. This tribesman hurriedly spoke again, "What about the back? The agent behind the back also wants to build a hospital here." The man didn't say the rest, but everyone knew what he wanted to say. The old Uchiha clan leader's face suddenly darkened. "When I refused, you bastard said it was a good thing to refuse. Uchiha will never accept the humiliation. And now after seeing that the hospital in the Sarutobi clan can't say that it is making money every day, it can only be said that robbing a bank is not as fast as making money, and you bastard started to accuse me of rejecting the kindness of that kid's agent. Yes, indeed, if the hospital is located here on the land of their Uchiha clan, and the Uchiha have taken out the clan land, then there will definitely be some shares in it. However, he refused, so forget about this shareholding. I really want to say that Uchiha is very above board in doing things and not playing tricks. Although the Sarutobi clan had a fight with him before, Uchiha also slapped the Sarutobi clan a few times. Now that the Sarutobi clan has given up and fallen silent, it should be punished. Uchiha will not be stingy. Anyway, Uchiha will make a summary at the end of this year. In fact, many people are waiting to see the first year-end summary after the war. And as mentioned before, everyone knows that Hidden Leaf Village is developing well now, but only two people, Senjutobirama and Uchiha, know the specific development without statistical data. And this year Senjutobirama is back, so the year-end summary at the end of this year is Uchiha's public report to Senjutobirama in the Hokage's office. At this time, people from the Hidden Leaf Village family can go in and observe. The Uchiha clan originally had no idea about this meeting. Everyone knew Senjutobirama's attitude towards the Uchiha clan. But as soon as Uchiha said this, it obviously meant that you, the Uchiha clan, must be obedient, don't do anything special, and don't want to be the only Uchiha who doesn't come when everyone else has arrived. That's not a loss of Senjutobirama's face, but you are slapping me, Uchiha, in the face. I, Uchiha, have said it clearly and told you to cooperate with everyone. If you don't give me any face, then what happened to the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan may happen again to the Uchiha clan. What can the Uchiha clan do? The old Uchiha clan leader sighed deeply, and in the end, he could only wave his hand. That's it, when the time comes. You will come with me to welcome the second Hokage. In triumph. Indeed, as Uchiha said, the Uchiha clan only felt a pity that Senjutobirama did not die in this war. Why do you think this kind of scourge can survive for so long? In the winter of the 22nd year of Hidden Leaf Village, November 17th, Senjutobirama led Hidden Leaf Village's frontline ninja troops back to Hidden Leaf Village. The war is completely over. But this is not the beginning of a new story. Chapter 93. The end is also the beginning. Walking on the cement road outside Hidden Leaf Village, most of the large army of ninjas behind Senjutobirama were looking around. Unlike Senjutobirama, who has only come back from time to time in the past 5 years, the impact is not that strong. Most of these ninjas have never returned to Hidden Leaf Village in the 5 years since they went to the battlefield. 5 years ago, the inner city of Hidden Leaf Village was mostly filled with dirt roads, but now, the trees, jungles, and overgrown areas outside Hidden Leaf Village have turned into construction sites. Buildings that look like copied and pasted structures stand in rows on both sides of the road. Some civilians, whose dressing styles are very different from those of the Hidden Leaf villagers, are working on construction sites on both sides of the road. When they saw Senjutobirama's large army, these people put down their work and watched from a distance. Hokage-sama. Are these Koharu approached Senjutobirama and asked in a low voice. Senjutobirama waved his hand. Those who couldn't survive in the Kawa country and other countries, they traveled thousands of miles to Hidden Leaf Village, and Uaya let them stay in the outer city. Koharu nodded and said nothing, but he didn't know what he was thinking. The journey was smooth, and after turning a few intersections, Senjutobirama saw Uaya as the leader, followed by the Uchiha clan leader, Shimura, Saratobi, Hyuga, and other clan leaders, who were also at the gate of Hidden Leaf Village, waiting for Senjutobirama and the large army. A smile suddenly appeared on Senjutobirama's face. When they were close, Uaya smiled and took a step forward and said, "Welcome, Hokage-sama, for your triumphant return." After saying that, Uaya moved his body out of the way, and the old Uchiha leader behind him saluted reluctantly but still helplessly, "Welcome to the victory of Hokage-sama." Senjutobirama laughed, grabbed Uaya's hand, and asked Uaya to follow him into the city. This scene almost makes it explicit. And when you see Senjutobirama's normally stoic face now actually smiling, you know that he is indeed very satisfied with Uaya. When Senjutobirama and the large army entered the city, the spacious green brick road was lined with eagerly awaited Hidden Leaf villagers. Some of them came to pay homage to Hidden Leaf Village's ninja troops, while others were anxious to see their relatives among the large troops. Passing all the way, Senjutobirama pulled Uaya and led the large group through the center of the village. When passing the commercial street, there were various epoch-making signboards, neon signs, and various shops on both sides. The ninja who hadn't been back for 5 years looked straight at them. Senjutobirama took Uaya's hand and asked Shimura Denzo with a smile, "Denzo, do you think you can develop Hidden Leaf Village to this point in 5 years if you let me do it?" Denzo Shimura thought about the scene where the original low-domed houses along the way had disappeared and turned into 5- and 6-story buildings. He thought for a moment and then said, "I don't know until I try it myself." Senjutobirama narrowed his eyes, but Uaya beside him smiled. It was quite good. He was still thinking about what he would do if Hiruzen Saratobi devoted himself to teaching his students and he became bored. Now it seemed that this would not be the case. Senjutobirama led the large army through the commercial street and arrived at the Hokage's office under the Hokage Rock. Compared to the surrounding buildings, which have been upgraded to 5 or 6 floors, the Hokage's office now seems a bit backward. Let's raise the height here next year. When you work in the future, you don't have to leave everything to me. You can just make some decisions yourself. Uaya curled his lips and said that he said so, but Uaya definitely couldn't really be arbitrary and make all the decisions. He didn't have that condition yet. What's more, there are many things that require the Hokage's intervention. Senjutobirama asked Shimura Denzo, Okimeki Choza, and others to take the troops down to distribute the money and trophies returned from the battlefield, and then they could settle on the spot and disperse back home. Then he took Uaya into the Hokage's office. On that day, some people in Hidden Leaf Village were filled with tears because their relatives had returned, and naturally, there were also people who were sad and crying because their relatives had not returned. Orochimaru folded the quilt and put it in the cupboard. He thought he would use this quilt today, but now it seems that he won't need it. Knock knock. The knock on the door sounded. Orochimaru was a little confused. Ever since the grandmother he liked to take care of passed away, he hadn't been visited by anyone for a long time. Orochimaru walked to the entrance and opened the door. What he saw was someone he knew very well. "Agent?" Orochimaru looked at Uaya standing at the door with some confusion. Uaya smiled and raised a bag in his hand. "I brought you dinner, let's go in and talk." Orochimaru opened the door and let Uaya enter the house. Uaya put the bag in his hand on the table at Orochimaru's house and waved to Orochimaru, "Come here, let's eat together." Orochimaru pursed his lips, walked over, and sat across from Uaya. After Uaya and Orochimaru finished eating a bag of roast dug, Uaya wiped his mouth and then looked at Orochimaru in front of him and asked softly, "Are you used to living here? Have you ever thought about living somewhere else?" Orochimaru was stunned for a moment, then shook his head. "No, I'm fine here." Uaya smiled and said, "Jiraiya and Tsunade are also there." Orochimaru was stunned for a moment, then turned to look at Uaya. Uaya then told Orochimaru that Saratobi Hiruzen would be his, Jiraiya, and Tsunade's teacher. Orochimaru looked at Uaya and asked, "Is it because the agent requested it?" Uaya was stunned for a moment, then thought for a while and said, "That's not true, it's just that you 3 little guys have been playing together. In this case, I don't want you to be separated like this. Why don't you 3 go alone together and form a class?" Orochimaru raised his head and glanced at Uaya, then whispered softly, "Thank you." Uaya sighed, stretched out his hand, and rubbed Orochimaru's head. His expression became tangled. After a long time, Uaya put down his hand, then looked at Orochimaru and asked, There's something. I don't know how to tell you." Orochimaru looked at Uaya. If you have anything to say, agent, please speak directly. Uaya scratched his head. It's just about your parents. Orochimaru looked at Uaya and asked softly, they won't come back, right? Uaya. Uaya closed his eyes and then told Orochimaru what he experienced on the day he went to the battlefield, detailing the cruelty of the battlefield. Uaya finally looked at the calm-looking Orochimaru and said in a serious tone, your parents died to protect me, so if you need anything in the future. No. Orochimaru shook his head. Uaya was in a daze, and Orochimaru continued, my parents died to protect Hidden Leaf Village. They are the heirs of the Will of Fire. Uaya's face froze, and then he looked at Orochimaru with a serious expression. Who told you this? Orochimaru looked a little confused. Teacher at school. What's wrong? Uaya took a deep breath, then looked at Orochimaru, who was still a child in front of him, and said deeply, this idea cannot be said to be wrong, but it cannot be said to be correct. You go learn ninjutsu from Sarutobi Hiruzen. When you graduate from him, come to me and I will arrange a good job for you. Chapter 94 Hidden Leaf Village Post-War Subsidy Plan. In December of the 22nd year of Hidden Leaf Village, Senju Tobirama led the villagers of Hidden Leaf Village to build a mausoleum. Under each mausoleum, there were no corpses of ninjas who died on the battlefield. This is a mausoleum with only a name. Tsunade raised her head and looked around with some apprehension. She was standing in the second row behind Senju Tobirama. In the first row, just behind Senju Tobirama, Uaya stood in the middle. Next to him stood the clan heads of Shimura, Sarutobi, Hyuga, and other families. And Tsunade was diagonally behind Uaya. Beside her were Kagami Uchiha, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Akimaki Choza, Shimura Denzo, and other new generation ninjas from the Hidden Leaf Village ninja family who had retired from the battlefield. Senju Tobirama gave a speech in front of them. The content was roughly that these dead ninjas had implemented Hidden Leaf Village's Will of Fire very well. Their sacrifices were valuable. Their sacrifices spared Hidden Leaf Village's new generation from having to go to the battlefield and fight the enemy with all their might, and so on. Tsunade looked up and around and found that everyone, except her, was listening attentively to Senju Tobirama's speech. Tsunade shrank her neck and quickly lowered her head. She didn't understand why her second grandfather said these obscure words. She only knew that the serious atmosphere around her made her dare not breathe. Finally, let me allow Hokage's acting secretary, Shinken Uaya, to tell you the specific situation on how to deal with the families of these dead ninjas. Senju Tobirama paused deliberately in the middle, and the purpose of telling the secretary and agent the opposite was to see how some people would react. The result was pretty much what he expected, and many people frowned. After Senju Tobirama finished speaking, he stepped aside. Everyone who could be in this cemetery today was a ninja. Ordinary people, civilians of Hidden Leaf Village, could come here to express condolences and worship, but not today. Uaya didn't have any stage fright. He took a few steps forward and stood where Senju Tobirama had just been standing. Although Senju Tobirama would not pay attention to these details, Uaya knew that it was best to follow the situation that he would notice to think. Uaya took out a scroll from his arms and spoke softly. A total of 3,192 ninjas died in this war, and a total of 10,187 Hidden Leaf Village families were affected. In order to take care of the families and relatives of these families and allow them to live a better life, I announce that Hidden Leaf Village will establish a special group for post-war subsidies. The responsibility of this group is to take care of these more than 10,000 families so that they can live better in Hidden Leaf Village even if they lose the backbone of their families. As he spoke, Uaya spread out the scroll in his hand and continued softly, these more than 10,000 families will receive an official financial subsidy of 200,000 ryo every year. At the same time, the direct descendants of deceased ninjas who do not have direct family members to take care of them can enter the Hidden Leaf Village official nursing home. Hidden Leaf Village will support these children until they are 16 years old. When they can go out to work at the age of 16, Hidden Leaf Village's official stores, factories, and other industries will give priority to hiring direct descendants of these people. Uaya just mentioned a simple subsidy plan, and some ninjas couldn't help but whisper. There are more than 10,000 families, and each family has a subsidy of 200,000 ryo, which totals 2 billion. Does Hidden Leaf Village have so much money? After all, they hadn't returned to Hidden Leaf Village for 5 years, and their thinking was still stuck on 5 years ago. It's normal to have this thought. Of course, they didn't think that brat Uaya was lying, especially in front of so many people. Uaya later stated that the families of these dead ninjas would be branded as the House of Fire will inheritance, which is an honorable title. However, if the wife or husband of the deceased ninja remarries, the title will be withdrawn. Although strictly speaking, it would be more beneficial to the development of Hidden Leaf Village to encourage the wives or husbands of these people to start families again. But if you encourage the surviving ninjas, Some people will inevitably think that if I die in this war, then my husband, wife, will marry someone else. This is not conducive to these ninjas' identification with the village. Yuya then explained in detail the specific benefits of these dead ninjas. In short, the central idea is that these people died fighting for Hidden Leaf Village, and their children, the old people at home, will be taken care of by Hidden Leaf Village. The above is my job description for the post-war subsidy team. Finally, what I want to say is that these benefits are what they deserve. The will of fire of Hidden Leaf Village is not just for everyone to selflessly pay for Hidden Leaf Village. The will of fire of Hidden Leaf Village is for everyone to fight to the death for Hidden Leaf Village on the front line, while Hidden Leaf Village takes care of everyone's family and children in the rear, so that everyone no longer has to worry about anything. This is Lord Hokage's will of fire. In the end, Yuya gave Senjutobirama the real credit for benefiting the dead ninja. It is foreseeable that when the newspaper is published tomorrow, Senjutobirama's reputation in Hidden Leaf Village will reach a higher level. There were more than 8,000 ninjas who came to pay their respects at the cemetery today, and those who had not yet arrived were patrolling throughout Hidden Leaf Village and the Land of Fire. But they will know about today's incident later. These more than 8,000 ninjas don't look like much standing here in a large area, but if they are broken down, there are more than 1,000 ninjas from the Sarutobi family, Shimura, Hyuga, Inuzuka, and other ninja families. Each family has hundreds of ninjas. In Hidden Leaf Village, there are thousands of civilian ninjas in this group. In fact, these ninjas from civilian backgrounds are the largest force in Hidden Leaf Village, but because they are from civilian backgrounds and do not know how to elect representatives to compete with other families, they have no say in their hands. But in fact, these talents are the real mainstay of Hidden Leaf Village. To put it more bluntly, in the war between Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Clouds Village, these civilian ninjas were dying as cannon fodder on the battlefield. Other major families suffered losses, but most of the more than 3,000 ninjas who died were civilian ninjas. In fact, what these civilian ninjas fear most is what will happen to their relatives and children after they die. Now that Yuya has made a promise, the last worries of these civilian ninjas are gone. After the final worship ceremony, Senjutobirama announced that the meeting could be dismissed. Tsunade breathed a sigh of relief and subconsciously wanted to run away. After running for a few steps, she remembered something and looked up at Senjutobirama. She saw Yuya whispering something to Senjutobirama there. Senjutobirama nodded and waved to Kagami Uchiha, and seemed to be giving some orders. Tsunade pouted a little dissatisfied. Yuya is always like this, very busy. The content of the eavesdropping last time has no more content, obviously. Hey. Tsunade Jiraiya patted Tsunade on the shoulder. Would you like to go to that nursing home with me? I should live there in the future. The environment there is quite good and the hospital has such a beautiful Obasan. Orochimaru will also go with him. Orochimaru shook his head helplessly. I'm just going for a walk with you, I didn't say I would live there. And I have to take the time to transfer the house to myself in the next few days. Little Jiraiya and Tsunade looked at the depressed Orochimaru and didn't know how to comfort him. Little Jiraiya thought for a while and took Orochimaru's hand. Let's go. Let's go see the room in the nursing home together. Hey, slow down. Orochimaru staggered and almost fell down. Tsunade looked at the backs of the two people and sighed helplessly, turned around, and looked at the other side again. This time it was Yuya who was giving instructions to Kagami Uchiha. Tsunade put her hands on her hips helplessly. This is really... Forget it, let's go see what the nursing home is all about first. I hope I can be well on Sunday. I want to watch Hobby's New Year's Eve. Chapter 95 Zhao Shimaru and Zhao Jiraiya. The nursing home in Hidden Leaf Village is located in the clan territory of the Hyuga clan, next to the Hyuga clan's kindergarten. This place not only takes in orphans like Orochimaru, whose parents died in the war, but also accommodates the elderly whose sons or daughters died in the war and have no one to take care of them. When these children grow up, the nursing home can be renamed a retirement home to take care of the elderly, which can also serve as a means of generating income. Although it is in the land of the Hyuga clan, since the Hyuga are willing to hand over this land, it is now open to the public. In fact, before Yuya announced the news, children like Jiraiya without parents could already live there. Orochimaru also has the right to enter, but it is evident that he does not want to live there. When Tsunade and Jiraiya arrived at the nursing home, they realized that there were quite a lot of people there. At a glance, there were over 100 people. Among the 100 people, there were men, women, old and young. Girls in white nursing uniforms look after them in the nursing home. These people were simply appointed according to the first batch of dozens of people trained according to the standards of Yuya's hospital. But later Yuya noticed something: there were ninjas in this world, and there was no need to find ordinary people to be doctors or nurses. However, the training was already completed, so it couldn't be wasted. It just so happened that after the war was over, there would definitely be lonely elderly people and children, so Yuaya simply asked them to come here to take care of these people. It is foreseeable that if nothing unexpected happens to them in the future, this should be their workplace for the rest of their lives until they retire. The difference may be whether they get promoted or not. In fact, they don't have any objections. The salary is paid once a week, more than 10,000 ryo per week, which is 3 times that of workers in the factory. After working for a month, they can buy half an electric fan. There is no way. The previous production capacity was indeed used to produce ninja weapons. Now that the war is over and the economy is fully developed, the prices of these things will definitely come down. Besides, Yuaya thinks the price is too expensive. In fact, many people think the price is just right. Yuaya and Senjudobi Rama came out of the cemetery. Senjudobi Rama told Yuaya, the pensions for the relatives of these dead ninjas must be distributed as soon as possible, even if my gold reserves are used. Yuaya nodded to express his understanding. As for the settlement at the end of the year, I plan to hold a Hokage meeting this year and invite the clan heads of the families in the village to participate. Senjudobi Rama said to Yuaya. Yuaya nodded to express his understanding. You should prepare for this with all your strength, and let me know when you are ready. Yuaya continued to nod. Then tomorrow. Senjudobi Rama looked at Yuaya in confusion. Tomorrow? Yuaya nodded. So fast? Yuaya said, in fact, I have the data from each factory here. The only thing missing is probably the turnover of private shops in the 4 areas of the inner city, but it can be roughly inferred from the taxes they pay. Senjudobi Rama nodded, his usually stern face softened, and he continued to ask, as for the issue of pensions to those people. Yuaya replied, the specific process has been written down. I just need to wait for you, uncle, to sign it and then arrange for someone to do it. Senjudobi Rama's expression became even softer. You kid. Since you've already reached this point, why do you still have to notify me? Why don't you just make arrangements? Yuaya looked calm and without hesitation. That's different, the process must be followed. Senjudobi Rama was very satisfied, patted Yuaya on the shoulder, and gave a few words of encouragement before leaving. He is indeed quite busy. After Yuaya and the others had finished walking, he looked around and breathed a sigh of relief. He gave Jiraiya an all-you-can-eat barbecue feast to let him stick to Orochimaru during this holiday. It seemed to be effective. Human beings are most afraid of thinking nonsense. Once Orochimaru had a fly buzzing in his ear all day long, Yuaya didn't believe that this little kid could think about the origin, and mysteries of life and then embark on a path of no return. As for what happens if something unexpected happens while Sarutobi Hiruzen is teaching Orochimaru, then Yuaya will also seamlessly let Orochimaru go to the scientific research department after Sarutobi Hiruzen ends his teachings to shine for a few years and let Yuaya squeeze out the use value first, and get some good things out first. Anyway, Yuaya definitely didn't want to suffer a loss. He should take the barbecue that Jiraiya had eaten from Orochimaru later. It doesn't seem right either. It seems that Jiraiya also has a lot of things he can dig out. Yuaya suddenly thought of something, although Jiraiya would be a lustful, greasy, and bohemian uncle in the future. Strictly speaking, the strength of this guy is not weak. And if you really want to say it, he was originally a ninja of Hidden Leaf Village. He left the village because Toad Sage said he would teach the children of prophecy and Orochimaru rebelled again. If it is like this. Yuaya narrowed his eyes and was already thinking about how to fool Jiraiya. This thing about the children of prophecy. If the Toad Sage can deceive me, then I will make him tell me how ugly he is. If that old toad can't tell me, then I'll destroy his job. Taking back his thoughts, it's too early to think about these things now, let's finish the current matters first. Wow! You live in such a big house by yourself? Little Jiraiya stood in Orochimaru's house with his belongings from the nursing home wrapped in quilts and looked amazed. This is my house. If you want to live in the house opposite. Orochimaru looked at little Jiraiya sideways and said. Little Jiraiya pointed at himself, me? I really can? I can really have a house of my own? Woo! Awesome! A vein popped out of Orochimaru's forehead. I'm lending it to you for a temporary stay. That house is not mine. It belongs to a grandmother who has passed away. Little Jiraiya put his arm around Orochimaru's shoulders. Hey, don't think so much. Before I went to the nursing home, I lived under an overpass, and I also lived on the construction site outside East 9th Street. If it weren't for the leader of the construction team being careful, I might have been blown up by him with the detonating talisman along with the rocks. Ha, so having a house of my own is my lifelong dream. Saying that, little Jiraiya added, now. Orochimaru blinked, he really didn't expect little Jiraiya to have such a past. Just as he was about to speak, there was a knock on the door of his home. Orochimaru walked over and opened the door. Standing at the door was an Uchiha man wearing Uchiha robes, holding a notebook and a pen in his hand and taking notes. "Is it Orochimaru?" the security guard asked feebly. "This is normal. When you are responsible for the defense of an entire street and are suddenly notified that you have to work overtime to deliver something to a certain household, you are also in low spirits." "Well, I am, what's wrong?" Orochimaru looked at the Uchiha guard in confusion. "Well, I have something for you, let me see." "Orochimaru, your parents died." "Your parents died? Died in this war?" No matter how ignorant the Uchiha clan members are, it is impossible for them to calmly say, "Oh, your parents are crazy," in front of a child, knowing that his parents died in this war. Such words. It's possible for Fugaku. After all, this is a strange person who can bring his 4-year-old son to the battlefield and say that he has seen the cruelty of war. Orochimaru's reaction was much smaller than that of the Uchiha guard. He just nodded calmly, "Yes." The Uchiha guard pursed his lips and then took out a scroll, bit his finger, and took out the contents sealed in the scroll. In fact, it doesn't matter whose blood is used. Generally, the delivery person will not use his own blood. But the Uchiha guard did it anyway. So in fact, most of the time, everyone is human and has emotions and desires. The leader of the Uchiha clan stood too high to see what was going on at the front line, but the Uchiha guards, who were working hard and working overtime, were hard-pressed. Being carefully guarded and suppressed all the time, even a good-tempered person will explode. It would be better to let the Uchiha clan divide from within. The Uchiha is like this, and so are the Hyuga, Saratobi, and Shimura families. The Uchiha guard left after seeing him off. He had another family to work with before he could go home and hug his wife to sleep beautifully. There is no way, the security department is full of Uchiha. Uchiha said that he would expand the security department to recruit other people, or recruit some auxiliary police officers, but the Uchiha clan leader and elders were firmly opposed. If you object, then object. Then you, the Uchiha security department, can handle everything by yourself. Uchiha doesn't care. He is responsible for issuing the mission anyway. The money deducted for failure to complete the mission is yours and has nothing to do with me. As for the Uchiha people working on the front line, then we are all human beings, and we all have brains, even if they are a bit biased. But actually, my brain is pretty good at this time. Because I am a smart person and think about my family, I work overtime without any complaints. For his own sake, the elder of the clan would only scold Uchiha. Uchiha could easily take it out to watch the show and not feel too comfortable. Of course, it is only useful for Uchiha, like Hyuga. It's so fun to climb the walls on both sides. Little Jiraiya came over and took a look. He saw 4 thick stacks of banknotes, as well as various vouchers and shopping coupons. Little Jiraiya was instantly envious. "You are so lucky, even if your parents sacrificed themselves for Hidden Leaf Village, you can also bring you so many benefits. I really wish my parents could be like this, but it's a pity." Little Jiraiya, strictly speaking, like Uchiha, was an orphan who escaped the war and came to Hidden Leaf Village with the refugee army. It's just that Jiraiya was unlucky. His mother was lost during the transfer and her whereabouts are unknown. It would be impossible to survive in the previous world. And Jiraiya's father died in a mining accident in a mine before Uchiha came to power. Thanks to Uchiha improving the infrastructure after coming to power, the foster home was opened within 2 years, otherwise, little Jiraiya would really have to eat. Suffering. Little Jiraiya also meant to blame God in his words. If his father could hold on for 1 more year until the deputy came to power, then he should be able to have his own house by now. Orochimaru looked at little Jiraiya. Only then did he realize. This little Jiraiya who has been following him around like a gangster. In fact, he is the same type of person. Both of them are helpless, the only one they can rely on is. It seems that I am the only one. Chapter 96 Summary of Hidden Leaf Villages 22 years The world will not stop turning without anyone, and time will not stop passing because of someone. Everyone can only exist in the world for about 100 years, and most people lose their physical vitality in their 60s. Of course, consistent exercise may keep your body energetic for longer. But it is an indisputable fact that life is short, so how to live better in the limited time is a question that everyone should think about. Of course, these are just some of Uchiha's thoughts. In Uchiha's view, there are good people in this world, and naturally, there are also bad people. There are people who enjoy themselves when they can, and there are also people who know how to suppress their desires. There are people who are willing to benefit others, and naturally, there are also people who are selfish. Yes, Uchiha is referring to the bastard Shimura Denzo. At this moment, Uchiha slapped the table and pointed at Shimura Denzo's nose, roaring, Damn you. Do you want me to target you? You'd have to go to the streets to beg for food tomorrow. And the reason this scene happened is that time has to go back a little bit. On the last day of December in the 22nd year of Hidden Leaf Village, Senju Dobirama called the heads of the major families to the conference room of the Hokage's office building. More than 10 families, large and small, came. The rest, because their family size is too small, have abandoned their family identity and completely embraced Hidden Leaf Village to live in the inner city, no longer living in a corner. As soon as Shimura, Hyuga, Uchiha, and other clan leaders arrived, they saw Senju Dobirama crossing his hands on his chin in the pose of Commander Ikari. Beside him, Uaya sat there with his head lowered and his hands folded, as if he was about to fall asleep in the next second. The people present immediately started muttering in their hearts. Although everyone in today's meeting was nominally seated casually, a seat next to Senju Dobirama was reserved. What does this mean? Does it have any special meaning? The heads of the major families suddenly became excited. After Senju Dobirama and others were all gathered, he took off the Hokage hat he was wearing and placed it on the conference table. Then he looked at the others and said softly, "Since everyone is here, let's get started." No one had any objections, and no one dared to have any objections. Again, as long as Senju Dobirama doesn't die, he will be the absolute master in Hidden Leaf Village. So in the original history, how did Senju Dobirama think that not bringing an army but bringing so-called escorts would actually be a burden? This is not how you earn merit. So I am still too naive and do not understand the sinister nature of people's hearts. Senju Dobirama nodded at the table, and Uaya, who had woken up beside him, nodded, took out a scroll from his arms, stood up, and said to the other clan leaders calmly, "Before, because Lord Hokage was not in the village, there was no one to chair the year-end summary meeting, so in the past few years I did not report to you the relevant statistics of each year. This year, Hokage-sama is back, so it is up to me to report to you." Knock knock. The patriarch of the Shimura family knocked on the table. Uaya closed his mouth and cast his gaze calmly. "I would like to ask, why are you here to report these data?" The patriarch of the Shimura family waited for a while but didn't hear anything from Senju Dobirama, so he bit the bullet and asked. Uaya's eyes instantly became playful. As a Senju Dobirama who even dared to bring Shimura Denzo and a bunch of troublesome people to a meeting at someone else's base camp, how could he not let Saratobi Hiruzen, Kagami Uchiha, and Akimeki Choza be allowed when all the major families gathered together? Waiting for someone to gain experience? So the next patriarchs of the major families are all here. Uaya, Senju Dobirama, or everyone present actually knew that the person who wanted to ask this question was not the current patriarch of the Shimura family but the expressionless Shimura Denzo standing behind him. Uaya really almost laughed out loud. Compared to the scary Denzo in the original manga, who was full of personality when he appeared and then revealed his red eyes, the normal Denzo Uaya now is really hard to look at. That disgusting image is really deeply rooted in people's hearts. Fortunately, because this question was a bit disgusting, Uaya tensed up and then threw the question back with a serious face. "Chief Shimura, I have to talk to you about this. The decision was made by Hokage-sama, without his agreement. I don't dare to sit here. Why you raised this question? Do you have an opinion on Lord Hokage's decision?" Patriarch Shimura quickly said, "No, no objection. No objection." Uaya smiled. He had a way to continue arguing with this guy, but the focus today was not on him, which Uaya could still understand. Judging from the attitude of clan leader Shimura, Denzo Shimura is probably dissatisfied with himself as the next Hokage. Well, forget it today. Today is not the time to get angry. There will be many opportunities to deal with the Shimura family in the future. After Uaya scolded the Shimura clan leader, no one dared to show his presence anymore. Uaya continued, "The 22nd year of Hidden Leaf Village, this year's grain harvest is small. The main reason is that the war has not ended at the beginning of this year, so it cannot be spread over a large area. There are only more than 20 million tons of rice and wheat. In the winter, ninjas are allowed to cultivate the land that was previously cultivated but was abandoned due to the war. After cleaning it up, I will arrange for people to farm the land next year, and at the same time arrange people to promote chemical fertilizers, and insert lightning rods into the ground. Next year's harvest will probably increase 4 to 5 times. Note 1, Uaya continued to spread out the scroll and continued, "This year, the northern farm of Hidden Leaf Village is at the end of the Hokage Rock Mountain. I have enclosed a piece of land there and let people take care of the livestock there. I asked the deer to count them and found that there were 130,000 oxen. There are more than 70,000 sheep, 310,000 chickens, 270,000 ducks, and 300,000 geese. Round numbers are used here to facilitate counting. According to my plan, except for chickens, ducks, and geese that can be hunted next year, it is best not to touch cattle, sheep, and the thousands of horses. There are more than 700,000 pigs. Next year, 1/5 of the pigs can be slaughtered, and the rest will be fattened. In the same year, the output of iron and copper was 330,000 tons. This was due to high consumption due to war and daily necessities manufacturing. Next year, the output should drop sharply. Others include daily necessities, grain processing, including canned goods, beverages, snacks, etc. The manufacturing volume is less than 10,000 tons, so I will not go into it. If you are interested, you can check the relevant data after the meeting. Uaya coughed and continued to unfold the scroll. This year, the per capita income of everyone in Hidden Leaf Village is 11,222 a month. The total salary expenditure is 9,678,800,000. As soon as Uaya uttered the number, the other family patriarchs present took a deep breath. Hiss, this kid is so terrifying. Well, they were just shocked by the number. Recall that once upon a time, Hidden Leaf Village was a village where millions of people thought there were too many. But now, so much in salary alone in 1 year? Senjudobi Rama looked at Uaya. Where are the salary deductions for ninjas? Uaya smiled slightly. As expected of a Senjudobi Rama, he knew the key points. Then there are only more than 7 billion. Many clan leaders were suddenly shocked. What? Just the salary of these ninja families and other ninjas is more than 2 billion a year? How is this possible? However, after careful calculation, the patriarchs of these families found that there were actually so many. Because the ninjas used to make about 1 billion every year. In fact, most of this money was obtained by the ninja family. After all, the number of Jounin and Chunin among civilian ninjas is relatively small, and Geinin. Referring to the fact that the prince's wallet is always empty when he becomes a Geinin, and the prince doesn't use many ninja tools for training, could it be that he doesn't use ninja tools for training because he has no money? You know that the salary level of a Geinin is probably only a few dollars a year. Looks like 100,000 taels or 1 million ryo. The salaries were so high before, but now the wages of these ninjas have not increased much. However, Uaya has introduced remuneration for assigning tasks to various ninjas. There are really not enough manpower. There will be bonuses for good work, and there will be year-end bonuses at the end of the year. Not to mention the previous task of attracting refugees and giving them money. The money was really flowing out again and again. Therefore, more than 2 billion a year is really possible. Uaya continued to report, this year, we will import 1.37 billion fish to Hidden Mist Village. Import 1.53 billion materials to Hidden Stones Village, and import 1.8 billion to Hidden Sand Village. Well, 1.8 billion ryo of supplies, mainly desert peppers, are really not that expensive. Well, at the same time, Hidden Leaf Village exported mining plants to Hidden Mist Village and invested 2.175 million to establish 4 steel plants, 2 grain processing plants, 3 weaving plants, and 2 beverage plants. Invest 2.5 billion in Hidden Stones Village. Invest 1 billion in Hidden Sand Village. Invest 400 million in the Land of Whirlpools. In other respects, Hidden Leaf Village spent 6,078.9 million on various types of ninja tools purchased from ninja tool merchants. Import minerals, cloth from other countries. Import from other countries. Summary: Hidden Leaf Village spent a total of more than 39.586 billion ryo this year. Shimura Denzo couldn't bear it anymore and pointed directly at Uaya and said, who doesn't know that the biggest ninja tool merchants in Hidden Leaf Village are all your subordinates? You actually said that Hidden Leaf Village spent so much money. Chapter 97. Uaya has no doubt. Uaya was interrupted from reading the manuscript. He raised his head and glanced at Denzo Shimura. Well, it smells like that. It's a smell that disgusts me. Uaya took a deep breath. He couldn't argue with this guy today. Today was related to his own image. So, Uaya closed the scroll gently, and then said calmly to Denzo, about this matter, first, I will read about the income statement later, and second, those businessmen are not loyal to me, but the Hokage behind me. If you continue to slander me here, I will not tolerate it anymore. Please understand this. Third. Uaya's eyes narrowed. Even a 3-year-old child knows that it's impolite to interrupt others and should apologize first and then ask questions. I didn't expect that you are in your 20s and you are not as good as a 3-year-old child. This is really... Denzo Shimura's face instantly turned red, not because of shyness, but because his blood pressure was rising and his face was filled with blood. But Denzo Shimura, who was he, calmed down his mood in just a moment, and then said softly, I'm sorry, I will pay attention next time. Uaya curled his lips, spread out the scroll, and continued reading. In 2022, Hidden Leaf Village's iron smelting plant sold 200,000 tons of iron sheets, and sold more than 13,000 secondary processing tools of various farm tools, pots, bowls, pans, etc. A total of 300,000 sets of daily necessities were sold. A total of 3.186 million ryo were sold. Shimura Denzo was speechless. With just one ironworks, he could get all the salary of all the ninjas in Hidden Leaf Village for a year. Then his performance just now was not in vain. Denzo Shimura feels that he is a clown now. He did this not to target Yuaya, but to win over people from other families. After all, Yuaya spends a lot of money, so they can share less. If only half of the money Yuaya spent was given to them. But now I look at it, so a steel plant can solve it? Well, there is not just one steel plant, but 20 steel plants in a row. Denzo Shimura closed his mouth and listened quietly. Later, Yuaya said that due to the consumption of Hidden Leaf villagers, Hidden Leaf Village's income has increased by more than 1 billion. Then most of the money is in the bank. Bank deposits have exceeded 10 billion. After that, the income of various factories and the income of the businessmen in Yuaya's hands, all of them add up to more than 50 billion. To put it simply, if you don't count the more than 10 billion in deposits in the bank, the balance of payments is almost balanced. The income is slightly more than the expenses. Shimura Denzo silently calculated in his heart, if tens of billions of dollars were all in his hands. After Yuaya finished speaking, he looked at the shocked eyes of the family patriarchs around him and was speechless. Is this a shock? Where is this? Yuaya admits that traditional industries can indeed make money. But if you want to make big money, you still have to play with technology, play with high-end, play with technology, and play with development. Of course, this also has to be within a certain limit. Yuaya's experience in his previous life told him that if you want to play castles in the air, you must first have a very solid foundation. In finance, you have to rely on entities to be able to play well. The essence of finance is to serve entities. Unfortunately, because of its special nature, most people will definitely be unable to stop blowing the whistle after coming into contact with it. This has nothing to do with the individual, and one person cannot stop it. Unless everyone in every aspect of finance is a saint and is free from greed and contention, it will be able to exert its original value. It's a pity that this situation is a paradox with human nature. Yuaya can guarantee that as long as he releases the giant beast of finance, everyone here, including himself, will become slaves of capital. In the future, they will only think about expanding and expanding their interests. So let's play honestly and down to earth. Isn't it also a way to rejuvenate the country through science and technology? Yuaya retracted his thoughts. Although most people were still caught up in the huge number of 50 billion, Yuaya knew that the sooner something was determined, the better. So he said simply and neatly, in addition, I think a regulatory department should be established in the name of Hokage that is independent of the Hidden Leaf Village system. In recent years, many commercial frauds, malicious defaults, and defaults have occurred. It is foreseeable that this kind of economic dispute will appear more and more in the future, so I think there should be a department that directly supervises the economic system of the inner and outer cities of Hidden Leaf Village. As soon as Yuaya said this, everyone present fell into deep thought. After thinking for a moment, Denzo Shimura looked at Yuaya coldly and asked, I would like to ask, Acting Secretary, who do you think is the best person to be the person in charge of this supervision department? Yuaya raised his head and showed disdain in his eyes. Of course it's me. Apart from me, I don't think anyone can tell better than me which ones are economic crimes and which ones are not. Yuaya didn't lie about this. For example, a person borrows money to open a factory. When the time comes, but the operation of his factory is in good condition, but the payment period is different from the time agreed upon by the loan. From the perspective of the borrower, it is not that he does not want to repay the money, but that the loan is due. The son has not yet come into his own hands. From the perspective of the money giver, it is the problem of the person who borrowed the money. Yuaya has no doubt that there may even be cases of deliberately borrowing money in the future, deliberately making the other party default on the payment, and directly forcing the person to repay the debt with the factory when the time comes. This will definitely have an impact on the entire business environment. But this point can be mediated from the perspective of economic disputes. But if Denzo Shimura masters this method of managing economic cases, then Yuaya has no doubt that this guy will feed his own family first before talking about anything else. Oh, by the way, strictly speaking, economic cases should be the responsibility of the security department, that is, the Uchiha clan. But the brains of people like the Uchiha clan. Well. So it's better for Yuaya to suffer. Shimura Denzo looked at Yuaya and said harshly, it's true. You keep saying it's for Hidden Leaf Village. The reason why you put forward this proposal is clearly for your own personal gain. When Yuaya heard this, he immediately exploded with anger. He slammed the table and pointed at Shimura Denzo and cursed, damn you. If I want money, I need such a dirty trick? I really want to see you and your Shimura family go bankrupt tomorrow. You bastard will have to go to the streets to beg for food tomorrow. How dare you accuse me of using power for personal gain? Have I put a dime in my pocket these past few years? Why do you think you and him were able to fight that raid on the front line? Didn't I deliver supplies to you from behind so that each member of the team you lead can carry enough food for a month? Do you still want to launch a sneak attack? No one's here yet. Is he the only one? He's going to starve to death. There is naturally a reason why Yuya is so angry. He is not a prime minister, and he cannot do the same thing as this famous minister through the ages. Doesn't he get angry after being slandered like this? Does he want to be a ninja turtle? Chapter 98 Dividends. In the end, today's meeting broke up on bad terms. However, Yuya's determination to establish an economic crime response department became stronger. Every one of these families in Hidden Leaf Village is a bastard, he thought. They smiled while reaping the benefits, but when it came to building momentum, Madara acted like a coward. How long has it been since he started hedging his bets? Isn't the current situation clear enough? Isn't it just a choice between Denzo Shimura and me? No. Surely no idiot would actually choose Shimura Denzo, right? What could Denzo bring to Hidden Leaf Village if he came to power? Wait. A sudden thought crossed Yuya's mind. If Shimura Denzo were to rise to power, he might distribute Hidden Leaf Village's profitable enterprises to other families to win their loyalty. If that happened, those families might directly align themselves with the Shimura clan. If that's really the case. Yuya narrowed his eyes. Instead of letting that happen, I might as well handle this myself. Resolved, Yuya stood up, intending to meet Senju Dobirama. While these industries were backward in Yuya's eyes, there was no denying their profitability. Simply giving them away would surely anger Tobirama. If persuasion didn't work, Yuya had another plan: bribe him with gold. If Tobirama asked, he'd say there were only 10 tons left from the last time. No matter how many times he asked, it was just 10 tons. Surprisingly, when Yuya proposed his suggestion, Senju Dobirama immediately agreed, as though he had been waiting for the idea. Yuya was stunned. Did his uncle trust him that much? Even after leaving Dobirama's office, Yuya couldn't figure it out. It wasn't until he returned home that the realization struck him. His uncle wanted him to prove himself. After all, relying on others to build prestige would cause it to collapse just as quickly. Understanding this, Yuya felt invigorated. If Senju Dobirama wasn't stopping him, he could bankrupt the Shimura clan in no time. But then, another thought crossed his mind. Was this a test? Was Tobirama watching to see if Yuya would be merciless enough to destroy his enemies completely? After careful consideration, Yuya pursed his lips and decided to hold back. Hidden Leaf Village, year 23. The new year following the war remained unforgettable to many. That evening, the village witnessed the most beautiful fireworks display in memory. Future New Year's celebrations would struggle to compare. On this day, Yuya approached Kagami Uchiha, saying, "It's been 4 years since my nephew was born, and I haven't given him a gift. Let me make up for it today." Initially, Kagami didn't refuse. But when Yuya mentioned giving away 49% of the Hidden Leaf Village water plant's equity, Kagami nearly collapsed. Having followed Yuya for so long, Kagami knew that Yuya never gave anything without a reason. The last time Yuya gifted something, it had been a pair of golden shoes, given as a veiled insult. Now he was offering nearly half of the water plant's equity, a source of hundreds of millions of taels annually. Kagami immediately suspected that someone in the Uchiha clan had offended Yuya again. Why does this keep happening? Don't hesitate, Kagami thought. Do you want to end up like the Sarutobi or Shimura clans? Though still powerful, the Shimura clan had already been marked for downfall in Kagami's mind. Yuya, noticing Kagami's apprehension, reassured him, "Relax. From now on, Hidden Leaf Village will invest a fixed amount every year, and your dividend will rise to 25%. Kagami, after confirming no one from Uchiha had angered Yuya, finally agreed. The next day, Yuya announced publicly that the Uchiha clan's fixed year-end subsidy would be replaced by increased profit dividends from the water plant. The annual dividend would rise from 10% to 25%. The announcement caused an uproar in Hidden Leaf Village. For the Uchiha clan, this meant receiving over 1 billion taels annually, and Kagami's prestige soared. Seeing this, other clans scrambled to secure similar deals. The Nara clan received 5% of profits from the amusement park, while the Hyuga clan managed to claim 15% from a kindergarten. Even Sarutobi Hiruzen received 1% of Hidden Leaf Village Hospital's profits, despite not requesting anything. Everyone recognized the hospital as the village's most profitable enterprise, generating 7 billion taels annually. Hidden Leaf Village had transformed. Once plagued by hunger, its citizens now lived comfortably, their wealth fueling their desire for an even better life. Chapter 99 Lure him with benefits. As Yuya distributed the profits from these lucrative, high-quality industries to one family after another, the other families couldn't remain indifferent. Initially, They believed they wouldn't gain much by aligning with Yuya. However, witnessing the substantial shares being handed out, it became evident that the ventures were extraordinarily profitable. Yuya had long promised to reward families that supported him, leading others to reconsider their stance. Despite this, many remained hesitant to fully commit, as this world is one where strength is paramount. Regardless of how profitable one's ventures might be, strength is still the ultimate measure of power and influence. Without becoming Hokage, all current gains could be rendered meaningless. Once Hokage, Yuya could distribute resources as he sees fit. Understanding this mindset, Yuya focused on infrastructure and technology development, preparing a significant project contingent on the Shimura family's cooperation. Throughout the spring of the 23rd year of Hidden Leaf Village, Yuya worked tirelessly in the Hokage's office, drafting Hidden Leaf Village's development plans for the coming years. He couldn't predict when the Shimura family might align with him or how they might resist. However, the presence of Senju Dobirama made an outright rebellion unlikely. Thus, Yuya aimed to complete a 5-year development plan within 3 months, providing a broad outline subject to adjustment based on specific circumstances. During this process, Senju Dobirama recognized Yuya's exceptional economic development skills. Yuya's plan considered the entire population's needs, predicting how many children would graduate from kindergarten to ninja school and proposing the construction of primary schools to accommodate children from civilian families. This was one aspect of the comprehensive plan, which also included factory transformations over the next 5 years. For example, the iron smelting plant, which had been focused on manufacturing ninja tools, would transition to broader industrial cooperation, producing materials for packaging and other uses, not just for Hidden Leaf Village but potentially for other countries as well. In January, while other Hidden Leaf Village families debated their stance towards Yuya, a messenger from Hidden Sand Village arrived. The messenger announced that their pepper planting area had quadrupled, and they were eager to deepen cooperation. Yuya responded by agreeing to increase chili imports tenfold. The messenger was initially taken aback, concerned about the practicality of such a large order. However, Yuya explained the substantial demand generated by his barbecue restaurant chain, which consumed vast quantities of chili peppers. With only basic seasonings available, chili had become the most popular choice. The restaurant's demand illustrated a broader trend, suggesting that a tenfold increase in chili production would barely suffice to meet even the official demand from Hidden Leaf Village's stores. Faced with this potential, the Hidden Sand Village ninjas considered reallocating food-growing land for chili cultivation, pondering whether they could buy food from Hidden Stone's village instead. Despite the second Kazekage's initial hesitation, the profits were too tempting, prompting a push for land expansion and reclamation to increase production. After dealing with Hidden Sand Village, Yuya received envoys from Hidden Stone's village and Hidden Mist Village, who were also eager to increase their cooperation, albeit with more modest demands. Meanwhile, the Hidden Cloud Village remained reluctant. Back in Hidden Leaf Village, the Akimaki clan, despite its small size, faced unique challenges due to their members' substantial food consumption. The clan's head, Akimaki Chosa, approached Yuya for shares, which Yuya granted, providing a stake in the grain processing factory. This arrangement allowed the Akimaki clan to secure substantial yearly dividends and access to factory products, easing their financial burdens significantly. With the Akimaki clan paving the way, other families like the Ibarame and Inuzuka quickly followed suit, securing their own shares and dividends. These developments finally pressured the Shimura clan to act. Despite their annual subsidies, the Shimura clan found themselves at a disadvantage without additional income from Yuya's ventures. Denzo Shimura, understanding Yuya's strategy, was reluctant to ask for shares. However, the pressure from within his clan eventually forced the Shimura patriarch to seek Yuya's favor. Yuya, playing coy, implied that he had already distributed all available shares, but he would continue to look for opportunities. For several days, the Shimura patriarch persistently visited the Hokage's office, hoping for a favorable outcome. Yuya's deliberate delays underscored the leverage he held, as his financial influence had woven a web of dependencies across Hidden Leaf Village. By early February of the 23rd year of Hidden Leaf Village, Denzo Shimura finally approached the Hokage's office, ready to negotiate with Yuya. The intricate dance of power, influence, and wealth in Hidden Leaf Village continued, with each move carefully calculated to secure Yuya's position and the village's prosperity. Chapter 100 Entering the game. Hey, isn't his Mr. Denzo, our great hero of Hidden Leaf Village? Please, have a seat. Yuya smiled as he guided Denzo to a chair, then asked kindly, Mr. Denzo, what brings you here today? Denzo Shimura's face reddened. He knew Yuya was mocking him, but he couldn't show his anger or dissatisfaction. He composed himself, forcing a smile, and replied, I am here to discuss exchanging the Shimura clan's year-end subsidy for equity incentives. Since you've distributed shares to other families in Hidden Leaf Village, it's only fair not to show favoritism. even when seeking help.